It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green.
He's got the run, but isn't enough. It's a drag race to the finish. Culver goes from third to first in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline, or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Tonight, it's a blast into the past. We get ready to zoom around Daytona as many of the top racers and all of the platform spring back to 1987 cars. Tonight, it's the iRacing Firecracker 400 and its coverage brought to you by RaceSpotTV here from iRacing's virtual World Center of Racing. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight is Derek Watson. As we get set for this evening, Hugo Louise is our producer for tonight's festivities. The field is scattered with talent tonight, Derek. Plenty of the top drivers looking to see how they fare out. We're watching the fixed version of this event tonight, which means these drivers have to come down to the talent if they want to be the one taking the checker tonight.
What's more quintessential NASCAR, Justin? You got the 87 NASCARs, the older cars, Daytona, 4th of July weekend. By the way, happy Independence Day weekend. Everyone watching from the States, happy weekend. Maybe not watching within the States, but this is it. This is what NASCAR, a lot of NASCAR fans remember. This is Daytona, Independence Day weekend. It's going to be a blast. And you're right, a blast from the past, but just a blast. We're going to have fun. As you said, we got drivers up here at the eNASCAR level. We got all kinds of stuff going on. And then even just this calendar, we got stuff going on. Look, we're at the Firecracker 400 next weekend, 1 week away. The Spa 24 Hours, the Brickyard, the full-length NASCAR race. Again, another special event for NASCAR in July. JP, this calendar does not let up all year long.
Other notables when it comes to the stock cars include Bristol in September. You, of course, also have the MX500 at Martinsville in October. But as well, you finish things off essentially with a mixture of different types of events throughout the calendar year. June coming off a busy month, but these summer months, all the way from June through October, at least 3+ events per month. So there's plenty of opportunities for people to race and get a different flavor of their favorite type of racing when it comes to the platform here on special event scheduled rotations. But these competitors tonight are getting ready for what is a staple when it comes to 1987 cars. The community has been built specifically about these cars for the past couple of years. These take a lot of talent to drive, Derek. It's so easy to wreck your race car.
Yeah, it's a lot of talent, a lot of skill, a lot of patience. I suspect is a word we'll use all night, and just a lot of, there's still some luck involved, right? It's Daytona. Anything can happen at any moment, maybe just a bad moment, a lack of focus. Anything can happen that can cause this race car to lose control. We'll talk about the differences in these races all night long, from rule changes to how the draft works to how the draft doesn't work to single file racing. We'll probably see more of that than you may be used to at Daytona if you've never seen these cars before. So lots and lots going on. With qualifying is, I believe, wrapped up, JP?
It has been wrapped up, which means the drivers now sprinting their way to the starting grid. 42 cars a part of this lineup. We're about to see them on the grid. Robert M.D. Jersey starts on the pole tonight. Cale Spicer starts in second, the difference 11 one-thousandths of a second. Candy Rush and Greg Johns start in row 2. Timothy Moore will start in 5th with Matt Cluse in the 6th spot. Matthew Zwack will start in the 7th position with Wyatt Gray from Factory Setups in the 8th position. Benjamin Forrester won the 5 p.m. slot yesterday. He'll start in 9th. Mitch Hughes starts in 10th. Kevin McAdams, a regular with the style of racing with his buddy Sean Butler, ready to shake and break the way to the front. Wazoo Parker, a super speedway racing ace in 13th. One of the pros tonight, Michael Frisch, he loves this race car. He's one of 3 pros in the field. Christian Visconti will start in 15th. Blake McCandless starts in 16th. Then it's Jeremy Lukasiska along with Lusstein, who will be in the 18th position, Derek.
We're going to move on back into P19 for Thomas Reed with John Schwartz on the outside of P20. 21st, Ted Lowendick, a regular here on RaceSpotTV, is next to Maximilian Bianco. 23rd, John Babineau is with Dylan Drilling back there in 24th. 25th, Tracy Petter next to Carson Hocevar. Back in P26, Brad Newman and David Brown round out your 27-28. Mitch Drunowski, and Jaden Hopp back there in row 15, 29th and 30th. 31st, Drew Joa, and next to Jordan Worth in 32nd. Matthew McGowan and Hayden Swink, 33rd, 34th. And then Charles Wembley and AJ Green, 35th and 36th. Hunter Johnson, 37. Rusty Plant, 38. Jackson Van Volkenberg in 39th. Justin Malullo, a name known across iRacing, back in P40. Chris Jonkey and Mickey Tuttle round out 31st and 42nd position. And that, I believe, JP, is a look top to bottom at tonight's starting grid.
Yes, it is. We get ready to race 160 laps, 400 miles here at iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. It is locked to a 12 p.m. in-sim time, by the way, so not going to see the lights come into a factor. But these drivers will be dealing with the bumps from the legacy version of this racetrack. And oh, by the way, one thing the drivers are going to love tonight, Derek, track temperatures are very hot. It's 128 degrees Fahrenheit, so the grip is going to all race long not be there.
Well, sometimes it's not there right now, JP, and there was a little bit of drama where a couple of drivers didn't roll off a pit road. So there's cars still catching the field. There's cars coming through 1 and 2 trying to catch this field. They'll get there in plenty of time. So Jaden Hopp on back trying to catch this field. It'll be a bit of a tight field. But you're right, little grip, tough race cars, a bumpy racetrack, by the way. We'll focus on that tonight. This is an older version of Daytona. This is not the smooth version that Evan Pasoko and I called for the Daytona 500. This is a bumpy ride all night long.
By the way, Carson Hocevar was that car causing issues on pit road. They just towed after sitting in pit road for about 45 seconds. Something happened to Hocevar. Several drivers catching up as the field's all set to go. Happy to have you with us here on Race Spot. We're underway for the Firecracker 400. start as Mitch Hughes jumps his way to the outside, looking to take the race lead at the stripe from 5th. Will do so. Timothy Moore jumps to 2nd. The first lap is in the books. A lot of drivers did start from pit road, you've seen, so plenty of the competitors will have to catch up to the rest of the pack, all while this field sorts itself out to the corners.
Yeah, they're of course hoping that maybe something happens early in this field before they get caught back around by this train. So they're kind of, I guess, banking on the fact maybe of an early caution, and so they want to start from pit road and hopefully not be involved in that calamity. And boy, there's the car, the 20, moving to the bottom of the track, made the pass and made it pretty effectively. That may have been the 28 of Benjamin Forrester, pardon me. That's the 28. Sorry, I recalled the wrong number. But that was an incredible pass he made there to the corner, JP.
Kevin McAdams taking a lot of draft on the service. These cars do have a decent amount of suck-up ability to each other, but it takes a lot of ability to be able to deal with this car as the tires wear, especially. It's so easy if you aren't comfortable with this car to just roll over the machine. Tell you one of the first times interacting with this car, first thing it did, first corner at full speed, upside down and flipping over. It takes a lot of talent, is what I'm saying, to learn these cars. They are so fun for the community in that reason.
Yeah, they really are. Speaking of talent, speaking of experience, speaking of knowledge, you saw on board there from Blake McCandless a second ago. Blake, of course, making his NASCAR run this year. Loves these cars. There's a few names in this field that you and I recognize instantly tonight, JP. As drivers, you just love these cars. Frankly, we weren't even surprised. We sort of almost penciled them into our roster tonight, knowing they'd probably be here. So we'll see how Blake or others do. Michael Frisch comes to mind. We'll see how they all do here. But, man, I'm surprised we're still 2, almost 3 wide, a few laps in here. These cars, of course, a little tougher to handle, a little tougher in the draft. These are not the draft models we see today. This is back in 87 cars where you just get big runs. But these cars get loose, JP. Listen to them lifting in and out of the corners.
A lot of throttle management a part of these cars. It's not as simple as keep the throttle pinned and the car will be fine. Not here. And not with these cars, with how much speed you end up carrying into the corner. No restrictor plates in the 1987 season, remember. Looking like some of the drivers still battling side by side, all while Sean Butler controls things at the point. And so Butler just controlling the lines inside to outside as many of these drivers try and keep themselves settled down. A lot of them trying to keep it single file in the corners.
Yeah, a lot of them trying to do that, trying to keep things under control, and just making a plan for later, right? Here's a phrase we say all the time. It's lap 5, right? Now, granted, it's 160 instead of 200, but still 160 is a long way to go here. So just get patient, get locked in, get focused, make a game plan, find a couple of drafting partners if you need to, and just kind of know what you need to do later on. But I love this onboard shot. This is Matthew Zwack, by the way. What I love about this shot, JP, is watch the hands here. Typically, you and I would kind of say in a broadcast, if we see your hands active in a broadcast, we're thinking you're having a tough night. That's just how these cars drive. You have to behave this way with the wheel. If you're not wrestling it that much, you're doing it wrong.
Seeing how careful Zwack at least is trying to handle his wheel movements here. Right now, Zwack is in the 7th spot in this race pack at the moment. So if you're a fan of FTF, well, those cars are controlling things 1-2 in terms of their field of movements. So far, your biggest mover already, by the way, 20 spots gained, David Brown. He's also in this pack, now battling for 7th as well. He is flying so far tonight, able to pick up a ton of track position, one of the Nexus entries.
Yeah, a few drivers are up a bunch of spots here already, so you can kind of get an idea of who may be more or less comfortable with this car based on how they're driving or the moves they're making or the opportunities they are seeking here. But look at this. Sean Butler doing a great job, for the most part, kind of riding the high line, controlling the run here at Daytona. Had some challenges at times. One's coming on the bottom here, and that is going to be Blake McCandless. We said earlier he's a pro in this car, raves about it, talks about it, loves to drive it, and he wants to lead in the Firecracker 400.
wants to lead eventually is the main thing. Right now, just continuing to pace himself on the bottom, looking to take away third from Hughes. Looks like he's just about got that spot. So that slide up to the corner, yes, just about closed the door. Able to get the lead, that spot there as he builds up the run on the inside, just going the shortest distance around here, seems to be working. As he goes for the lead, in fact, gets to the inside of Butler.
Oh, I got nervous because it looked like maybe he was going to touch that yellow line. Now, it's kind of weird, JP, because in this version of Daytona, you could argue in this era of NASCAR, the yellow line is not out of bounds according to 87 NASCAR rules, but still treacherous to touch with those tires. It's still that transition of banking is still going to make your car wobble, and with how tough these cars are to hang on to, the last thing I would want is for my car to wobble.
Yeah, the second you wobble with these cars, your car is going to say, let's go wiggle, wiggle, and spin away. In other words, I'm saying, you better get ready in case it snaps around. And right now, this car is handling things comfortably in terms of these lines right now. Still, though, the top 23 have broken away. As you can see, a lot of lollygaggers have lost ground of more than a second. A second big pack is already lost, by the way, 5 seconds to the main group. There's a look at some of those in the second pack. Tuttle, along with McGowan. Robert M.D. Jersey, who is the pole sitter, is in the second pack right now. Wyatt Gray's back there. Justin Malone, iRacing employee, back there as well.
You know, I think that's okay. And I said this earlier, these guys are hanging back. They want to get back here and ride. The last thing they want is put all the prep in, all the practice for this race, and then be involved in the first incident. So they'll hang back. You know, they have their own draft pack. So if they needed to, I bet they could make a good run at this. But for now, just kind of relax. Not everybody has to feel that adrenaline of being too wide every lap for the lead. Some drivers a little bit more strategic, maybe is the word I want to use here, JP. They just kind of want to be there when it counts and not fight for it all night long. I'm impressed by Sean Butler. Again, I know he's someone who loves these cars, but come out here and led so many laps already, doing a great job here. He's got a couple friends with him. He's got McAdams and Blake McCandless. Michael Frisch is up there. So these guys all probably working together in some form, maybe not directly, but they're all probably in communication, I would guess, in one way or another.
Yeah, have to figure communication so critical, you were going to say.
So I was going to say also, it's something we should point out. We'll talk about the differences all night long in these cars, JP. There's 4 classes, 4 manufacturers of cars in the 87 NASCAR. So compared to maybe our current, Gen 7s, we have 3. There are 4 classes here. And if you look up and down the field, I mean, there's at least, 1, 2, 3 classes representing the top 10. So fun to see how many drivers pick what cars and what cars get ran and how, why and who has maybe a brand loyalty or a favorite model from this era. But definitely some well-represented cars up and down the field here. But now the top of your screen is the lead pack. The bottom is the second pack. And look at that big gap of track up ahead from the second pack. That's the concern that JP talked about, because I said, hey, if a caution does come out, they're okay. What if the caution doesn't come out for a while? They could find themselves in a lot of trouble.
In some of the events this week so far, drivers have averaged 7 to 9 cautions, give or take, in some of the top split action, depending on if it's open or fixed. But as we've seen, you never know when the cautions actually will come out here in these types of races. Looking like this field continuing to now steady itself on the high side. That seems to be where Butler, McAdams, and many of the others feel more comfortable with just how the car's handling with these bumps, with how much this track dips around on the inside.
Yeah, I think it just feels more predictable up there, right? And as you just said, this track is bumpy, and the top lane can be very bumpy in these cars, but I think it's more about the less input you think you have to put into that wheel, maybe the safer you feel, right? The less chance there is that you crank that wheel too hard. and make something happen that you don't want. Here's Pico Frisch, back at P7 on board with him. You can kind of see his point of view, nothing than just race cars and a windshield is what Michael P. Frisch is viewing. By the way, JP, going back to that old NASCAR feeling of Daytona with the Firecracker 400, we started this race right around noon, virtual sim time.
Well, it is locked at noon in sim time, so it's not going to change. But remember, that was the traditional start time back in the day for the Firecracker 400 also.
Yeah, you listen to some of the drivers, even Dale Jr. talked about it. He remembers going to the track with his family, and you know, they would get out there and race in the mornings and then go find places to watch fireworks at night on the 4th of July. It wasn't until way later that I can recall when, you know, this race became a night race, eventually became the Pepsi 400 and the Coke Zero Sugar 400, and now in its current iterations. But yeah, the night race was not always the trend here, so perfect that we're using this older scan of Daytona, because this older scan of Daytona doesn't even have lights, by the way, so we'd have to race in the daytime for this race.
Hold on, we just had an issue. You may have noticed one driver slow in this pack that separated things out. The 80, Christian Visconti, hit the wall and ended up slowing himself up against what's the safer barrier around here. Stayed out of everybody else's way, but it did break up the 2x2 in parts of the pack. That's why most of the field has now gotten to single file, so some of the drivers getting a little bit too antsy up at the top of the racetrack and drifting up into the wall on corner entry.
Yeah, that is the danger, right? And that wall can be treacherous. And if for no other reason, JP, then what can happen is if you try to yank yourself off that wall too hard with this car, you'll yank it way far to the left and probably end up off the track and spun around, you know, down to the bottom of the track or in the infield or another place. But you're right. Look at it, because of that one wall contact. Now it's difficult to find any form of two-wide racing.
Yeah, and everybody's single file for the most part, except for a couple. Yeah, there is some, but not a lot. This is some of what we're referring to in the pack here. Matthews whack going for a bit of a bump, actually. Good Drumley. Getting bumped around a little bit in the factory setups machine. Trying to push him into the top four.
That was a good push, and I was nervous. I trust these drivers, but still nervous because it's not, you know, a common way to race in these cars. You can't bump as hard as you can. These cars are a little more unstable, so every bump gets a little bit more scary than maybe it could be in other models. But a beautiful race so far. Already working lap 18. We're already more than 10% of the way through the race and having a good time. Sean Butler leads more laps. And he's got Mickey Adams there, and Mitch Hughes, and doing a great job.
Oh, look at that. Just had a bit of a slow up. Some of these drivers are starting to really suffer from the wear on the tires a bit, Derek, because David Brown, the reason that they just had a separation there in the pack, reported that he got a bit too tight. So some of these drivers are starting to wash up out of the corners and starting to cause checkups. There it is right there. Brown nearly hit the side of the 23 of Moore.
And I keep bringing up the differences, and I hate doing it as I just want to focus on the race, but I have to, as we have to talk about the differences of now and then. Tire wear, right? In the Gen 7s, maybe you don't think about changing tires every pit stop whenever those happen. I guarantee you there are 9 sets of tires total for these drivers tonight. So the ones on the car plus 8 more on pit road. If these drivers get the chance, JP, they'll want to use every set of tires here. The fall off is massive. Heck, let's look at our leader, Sean Butler. His fastest lap, JP, of 43.8. His last lap, a 45.8. He's already dropped 2 seconds off the pace from the fall off of these tires, and that's pretty consistent up and down the board.
That's why so many people love this car, because it takes a lot of talent to be able to craft runs but also save tire. Everyone's just electing to stay single file for now until we get to the pit stop window eventually. His competitors around lap 40-ish, give or take, on the run. They will eventually reach the lap traffic likely this run, by the way. Some of the drivers that are at risk getting lap: Carson Hocevar, Rusty Plant, amongst the drivers that are the closest to falling a lap down because they start from pit road. the gamble hasn't worked out for those cars at the moment. All while, cars on screen just continue to steady on in. You see there, middle line to top, making sure they don't slide up and hit the wall.
And right now, there's probably just a bunch of riding happening here, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like McAdams is in any rush past Butler, you know, Hughes to McAdams, and so on and so forth. So I think everyone's just kind of in ride mode right now. Why make a pass? Why make a risk of something you don't need to do when there's still so much race left? So I think what we're seeing now is obviously not how this race will finish. We've seen some amazing finishes in these 87 cars when the time comes.
Yeah, remember when there was these, not the iRacing ones, but remember when Landon Castle, E-Racer, which is an e-NASCAR team these days, in the Cup Series, had their own Firecracker 400s. Those were thrillers, to say the very least.
Yeah, they're great events, and I'm happy to see after a couple years off that iRacing has picked up the event and has made it its own special events. Now everyone can participate. There are multiple sessions of this going on right now for different splits, different iRatings. And JP, if someone hasn't done this event yet and you're looking on, going, boy, that looks fun. Good news. There are so many more opportunities. There are 3 more opportunities in the fixed setup time slots. You got Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern, Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then for the open setups, you have a couple left. You have tomorrow, Friday, 4th of July, 10 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Boy, JP, I know people have family plans, cookouts, fireworks, what have you for the 4th of July. But if you wanted to actually win the Firecracker 400, how awesome would it be to sit here on the 4th of July in iRacing and win this event? That would be just quintessential, wouldn't it?
It'd be very fitting to be able to win and be able to celebrate the holiday together. Jordan Worth just had a bit of a scare. Right now running about 14. Oh. He's one of those who drifted up into the wall and will pack. Let's check up.
And that's what I talked about. That makes this car incredibly difficult. If you get up in the wall and try to come off that wall, that car does not appreciate that behavior, right? It really does make that kind of move that you saw Jordan make, where it kind of wants to really come down the track very quickly. It's very, very difficult to get off the wall here and do it safely. Here's a pass, by the way, on the bottom. That, I believe, is going to be Matthew Swag now trying to make a pass here for P3. That's on Mitch Hughes.
Just trying to climb up, and so far it's been difficult to be able to actually take over the lead since the early going of this one. Since some of the top drivers went aggressive and made the charge. There's that run to the outside with the draft, pulling Hughes back forward. David Brown. He's been able to find a couple spots back with the top line after his tight condition a few laps ago as he ducks back in. So despite the checkup, by the way, 23 cars are still in this draft as some of the others snake around those who are still getting tight.
Yeah, 23 is a good number because I was going to hit a different number, but for the same reason, which is that 23 is the spots that David Brown is up since the start of this race as he races back. Now in P6, and he's 22 up, so he moved one down, but that's an incredible number. There's a few of those throughout the field, JP. I mean, Sean Butler's up 11, Michael Frisch is up 10. Jaden Hopp at one point was up a bunch of spots back in the field, up 11. Jordan Worth up 15. That driver, we saw have that moment a little bit ago. So a lot of drivers have quickly found their way through the field here at Daytona. I heard calls of pitting.
Yeah, I am not sure. I believe some people on the radio are just communicating in terms of thank yous and being able to give space to each other. No pit stops coming down this time. But yeah, it is a concern. You'd have to think on how these drivers enter pit road. Calamity Corner is always a trouble spot, and that might be where we see things stack up as these drivers try and get on the binders here from speeds of more than 200 miles an hour down to the pit road speed limit, that being just 60.
Yeah, now you start to wonder, by the way, how many people practice green flag pit stops? How many people looked at the results for this race throughout the week and said, I bet I don't need to practice that, or I bet I don't need to put as much focus on that. Well, we're about to find out, because in these cars, you can gain and lose a lot on pit road here. So how you get on pit road Obviously, making sure you avoid any kind of speeding penalty. How you get off the pit road is going to greatly matter. But as more cars, JP, are getting to the bottom of the track, that makes me believe we are closer and closer and closer to green flag pit stops.
Quickly approaching that window, but see some of those drivers shaking themselves around. Zwack now does get in line for fourth. Oh, wow. Michael P. Frisch, one of the top drivers last year's Contender Series, continues to ride. Now tries to make a move to the inside on Brown. He's one of the drivers who's contended in these Firecracker 400s before in the past. Always very sporty in the super speedways. Whenever there's a special event, he's in the top 5 or top 10, usually by the very end when it's points paying time or money time.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are known to kind of, you know, the old saying is the cream rises to the top, right? Well, we'll see a lot of that tonight in this special event as we move on throughout the evening. And Sean Butler kind of dipped down a couple times, so that maybe he was trying to get to the bottom, but he's moved back to the top, so maybe he's just trying to control both lanes a little bit, kind of kill any runs or make it happen. But if we work lap 29 of 160, we'll wait for that moment. We hear the first signs of pitting come across the driver radio. And again, look at that, Butler and McAdams, they move down. It's almost like they're trying to keep the draft lines even behind them, JP.
Yeah, all fairly even, all fairly simple in terms of the lines. Everyone just maintaining their pace. That's the critical thing. They're able to keep themselves clean, keep themselves with track position. And remember, as this race goes on, the pack should start splintering out as cars have struggles off pit road or don't get themselves cycled in on strategy. Some of the drivers in this pack, mind you, have gained a lot of spots. That includes Drew Jawa. That's Amonso's up in the plus 20 club. Plus 23 also for him so far. It's one of the drivers riding on the 16 machine currently, just behind David Brown at the moment. Oh, wow, they fall behind the leaders. Some of these drivers have just been able to make things easy in the early going to get track position. Others, it's been a struggle. For example, Benjamin Forrester's lost 3 spots since qualifying up front.
Yeah, I remember, as you said, Forrester's already won one of these events. He's already run another one besides that. So this is at least Forrester's 3rd attempt at a Firecracker 400 in like the last, 24 to 36 hours. That's a lot of driving, JP. That's, you know, I was talking to my friends today about this car, and everyone came to the same consensus. This car's a workout. Not just the bumpy track, but the way it handles. You're kind of fighting the race car. This is way more exhausting than it looks. There's a lot of drivers who will be tired, beat up. Your arms will be sore. You'll be mentally tired before we get to lap 160.
Drivers are starting to really feel the attrition, by the way, and feel the wear on these tires. We just had our first DNF. Hunter O. Johnson is officially out of the race after a crash at the front straightaway. Here's a look. Just running on his own, was running in the back. 35th, one of the drivers who missed the start. Snaps right, destroys the axle.
Yeah, that's a hard hit. That's scary for the cars behind. Right there, you see how close that could have been a couple times to making a problem. He'll just get down in the grass and call it right there. Unfortunately, so Hunter is done. He's disconnected from the service and done. Well, JP, we've been looking at the front of this field the whole time, but I'm still impressed by how close this field is as a whole. So right now, back to Ted Lowendick, all the way back in 22nd, JP. It's a total of about 3 seconds from Sean Butler to Ted Lowendick. So this whole field of 22 cars, it may feel spread out. It may look spread out on your screen, but 3 seconds, not a whole lot of time.
It's not a ton. And remember, for those at the back in the field, they may lose some ground in the pit stop sequence coming up. Already, the window is fast approaching here, and already seeing the differences in comfortability. David Brown having to back up his corners a lot more compared to what Butler and McAdams are doing, charging the corner, gaining a couple car lengths. But the draft is so far what's been keeping things tight, at least. between them and the 83. Right now, Brown just not letting take the moves to the inside. McCandless, at the very least, saying, have to test and see if something's going to work. Get this inside line rubbered up.
Yeah, just kind of moving to the bottom of the track. And I call these live science experiments, right? Because this is what you're trying to learn for later. Who will go with you? Who won't go with you? Who's a good pusher? Who's a good follower? Who's patient and won't just hop back out of line and kind of strand you? These are all things you're learning. These are live science experiments. So then when you come down to it, in lap 155, 157, 158, you know what to expect, or at least you think you do. That's the difference, right? So here's the second pack. This on the bottom of the screen, here's the lead pack up top. You see different forms of racing. They're almost 3 wide at the top of your screen, JP. So despite being worn tires, despite being almost 35 laps in, they're still not calmed down.
Those drivers at the bottom of your screen, by the way, last time by ran 3/10 off the pace. The past 5, they've been 2/10 off the pace of the leaders. The first pack just has that extra little bit of oomph to its average pace to be able to build up lap after lap. Oh, one car way on the apron there. Believe that was Benjamin Forster we just seen in the last second there that went for a drift. Yes, the 28 having a moment, and the packs are starting to break up.
Oh boy, what a great save that was by Forrester, and a great moment to keep us green here. But I do want to point out, in case you're curious, that what we're calling the second pack, JP, that's, I believe, Mickey Tuttle on back, 24th on back. So when we're looking at that second pack, it's basically 1 through 23 and then 24 on back when we do those top bottom splits. And look at the gap now that's beginning to form from some of these cars. Look at this. It's getting not big, but it feels different, right? It feels like now that at times McAdam pulls away from Brown, but then it closes back up. Just a little bit of lifting in the corners, I think, a little bit of how the aero may be affecting some of these cars, a little bit of everything starting to get to these drivers. And here we are, lap 37, working around, still pretty much single file. Watch this replay here. This will be what you saw with Forrester.
Better scare for the pack as whoopsie daisy hits the wall. Saves it as he ends up straightening it out, having to go on the apron to do so. But that's now caused the pack to split up. We have seen the pit stop start, though, but it's for drivers in the back. Drivers that lost the draft early and start from pit road. Drunowski, along with the leader in the Legends Cup point standings, and Fleckenstein, have both ducked to the pit road, so the window is open.
That window is open, and maybe especially if you've not been in a draft and you weren't saving that gas, so those drivers will be first. Here's a driver on pit roads. You can see those pit stops are starting and off the pit roads. That tells us we can't be very far from the lead pack, having the same fate. A couple cars moving down. No indication is going to be this time. Oh yes, Chris Junkie is said pitting this time, so we'll see now as these pit stops continue. For some drivers, no one's that front pack yet, but very, very soon.
Yeah. There's the call. Just came over the radio. It is official. The leaders coming in. Coming in 39 into 40. So the land rush about to set up. Butler has led 35 of the 38 complete laps so far tonight here at Daytona. Keeping it clean up front, controlling things as a Pied Piper. And now will make his first way down to the bottom in 3 for a while. Lets McAdams have the lead. In fact, as a result of the swap, it looks like he may be one of the few coming down here because some of the others just zip on by. No problem with the outside. Yes, Butler burning more fuel as to be expected as the race leader is coming on down himself.
I'm surprised, JP. He has some friends in this race, and I'm surprised they didn't want to pit with him just to keep that unity and that team cohesion together. I'm surprised Butler came down here, but what it tells me is that these other drivers are worried about this race. If we're pitting right on lap 40, that tells you that we're going to be darn close on fuel if this stays green, right? So every lap you can pull matters. Here's Butler on pit road, right side's up. Tires are changing. Right sides will go down there. Left sides will go up. Nothing should be different about any pit stop for a while, JP. 4 tires and gas is the only call that is reasonable to make.
It should be expected, and remember, going to be longer pit stops to be able to complete the service. In is Parker, Tracy Petter, along with Jeremy Ukaska. As the Monsters in pit road, more calls over the radio as well, so it's about to be even more busier. No major issues down pit road so far. No major stack-ups, and now we're expecting the most of the main group to come on down. They are reaching lap traffic at the same time. That's also just pit, like Karts and Hocevar. So there is some overlap amongst these groups here as they're about to dive on down again.
Yeah, now to make this more difficult, right? When you have lead lap and lap down cars, you got new tires, old tires, communication on the radios. Jordan Wirtz is trying to communicate, and many more. So everyone's going to be good here. McAdams down, leads a few cars down here, and everyone seems calm, cool and collected. You see the names moving up the pylon. Those are drivers who've not pitted. Your top 11 from Moore, Lowen, Dick, Reed on up, yet to pit in this first run. That to me is optimistic for those drivers, JP. If they can run this many laps and think about what they could do every run, they could chop some serious time off that last pit stop if needed.
2 speeding penalties to report. Tracy Petter and Charles Wembley have picked up speeding penalties. Hayden Swank also just got a warning from race control in sim because they backed up to get into the pit stall. Here we come, more pit stops for a couple drivers. And this is going to be Ja coming on in. The 16 had been running very well up the front of the field. Matt Swack should be coming in this time by along with Michael Frisch as they continue to stretch forward. So that there is going to be some offset on the tire splits. Remember, the tire wear throughout this run, 2 seconds of fall off. And now we're about to see a busy time for a lot of these drivers to try and make up some ground. McAdams is currently the net leader.
Well, remember, there's even some tense times for drivers, basically from Wesley Parker on back, Kevin McAdams on back. These drivers have not yet gotten their lap back through the pit cycle, so they need this cycle to continue and to finish so that they don't get stuck a lap down if a caution were to occur. Remember, there's no lucky dogs here. You have to get your laps back the hard way in the 87 cars, so no one wants to get stuck a lap down here.
Michael Frisch missing his pit stall right now. Others just making sure they don't make that same mistake. Good swag in. So Caden Rush and Wyatt Gray, the ones not in. There's a look at the one car. Frisch going to lose a little bit of ground as a result of a slight mistake down pit road. And he's off and away, and believe he took 2 tires. Yes, he did. 2 tire stop to be able to offset the time difference.
Ooh, that's going to be interesting to see how that car behaves in 2 tires and what may happen to it. I'm excited. Wyatt Gray pitting this time. That'll be from 2nd place. And I believe Keaton Rush already pitted. So this will complete the cycle here. Should put Michael Frisch, I believe, back to the front of the pack. At least from what we can see on the scoring pylons. There's that pack of cars passing the cars on the bottom of the track. And lots of things happening here. So good news. Our first set of green flag pit stops complete. We're basically 1 of 3 complete. So that's a good pass here. I mean, heck, JP, we are, 34 minutes, almost 34 and a half minutes into this race. We've completed 45 laps.
Going very smoothly so far. So as mentioned, Parker up front, net race lead. We'll see where Rush cycles. When he ducks down, here he is. And the 19. Just trying to slowly but surely make the way out of the pit road. Don't spin it. They are drifting off pit road on the apron. Rush is trying, but he's not going to cycle up front.
No, he's not. And that car does now merge up appropriately. This is a 19 car. So he'll get up on track and try to find his way into the draft here when he can and see if he can get caught up here. But up front, this is now the battle, at least one of the battles we have going on here. So, there's a car moving up top. That's the one car trying to make it happen in that old, well, that's it. It's an Irish paint scheme, JP. It kind of reminds me of one of the older like Valvoline paint schemes, even though it's got the Irish markings on it. That's a beautifully painted retro race car.
Stands out, but up front things are getting a little bit darty. Wesley Parker trying to play the lines, known in the sim, in the official races at least, for running with his special Corgi paint schemes. Team Corgi essentially on the speed. Now he's having to play lines because people on fresher tires are going. Thought about 3 wide for a second, did the 16. Flish to the outside for the lead.
Doing a great job is Wesley Parker holding on his lead. He's got some pushes from behind. Frisch now takes the lead. He gets a push up top for that Wrangler number 16 and Drew Joa. And they're going to put Wesley Parker at least back into 3rd place for the moment.
Good swap up front. The 1 car on 2 tires. Able to jump to the lead, is the only driver to try that strategy. And now the tough thing's going to be lap traffic ahead. The field is now taking some draft from Carson Hocevar. The NASCAR Cup Series driver is the person in range to be lapped next after having a snafu at the start of the race where he didn't get going off the grid.
So, you know, JP, I was kind of starting to wonder what I thought the driver mentality would be right about now, right where we're more than 25% of the way through the race. We've done our first set of green flag pit stops in. You know, would it be more intense now we have new tires? Would it be kind of relaxed because we hit a milestone? Well, based upon the amount of voice chatter you and I can hear from the driver radios, there must be some relaxed tones because this has been more chatty in the last, 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes than we heard for the first 45 and a half, 46 laps. So obviously some drivers getting comfortable. Maybe if they can finally breathe again, they can kind of let up a little bit. They can kind of have some fun with this because that first part is over and everyone seems comfortable.
And just settling on in is the main thing. Right now, 16 cars are in the whiff of the leader's draft at the moment. Interesting enough, now that Hocevar has some draft, he's maintaining, and this could be a bit of a thorn side of some of the people in the pack. You know, Hocevar likes to have his fun these days. He's raced on the platform for a long time, was actually one point before he made his way to the Truck Series, known as one of the top drivers on the oval side in terms of speed and ability, and now has been able to build up a reputation in the Cup Series for being a thriller. He loves his connection to the Dale Sr. truck that he bought in the past year or so, as he's talked about, and really loves the old school flair of the Intimidator.
You know, isn't that one of the thrills of iRacing, by the way? You never know who you're racing with, or who you're going to be racing with, I should say, right? You get loaded into a race, whether it's a Firecracker 400, the Spa 24. Next weekend, maybe you load in with your team, and you can be racing with NASCAR drivers, IMSA drivers, IndyCar drivers, iRacing employees, RaceSpot commentators, iRacing commentators. You never know who you're racing with. That's the fun of this service, is that there's so many people from so many aspects of life ready to race. I mean, just so many people across podcast hosts. We've heard of NFL players who do iRacing. I mean, it's just up and down the field of who you can find and, you know, who is willing to race, and just makes this a thrilling adventure to know, hey, you know, I joined this Firecracker for tonight, and maybe I get to rub, you know, elbows with a NASCAR driver. I get to race a NASCAR driver, is what some people will get to tell their family when this event is over.
Going for the point. Known for his abilities in area, he looks to find all the area, circumference, and space to be able to find his way to the lead. It's Jaw trying to clear on by on the inside. He's got equal tires to the 1. Can't get the run, as now he tries to build up a chance to lead, and Michael First says, you know what, since you asked nicely on the radio for the race lead, I'll give it to you now.
That's all it takes. He probably would have asked for it a little sooner, but obviously up here doing a great job in that Wrangler machine. One of the classic looks for these 87 cars, that blue and yellow Wrangler, of course. And we see it all the time, very classic here. And you see, of course, Frisch back in the iRacing car. And I love the paints and designs for these cars, JP. A lot of times you'll see this, you know, kind of that older, faded, kind of muted color style. It's not, maybe not always all the bold, bright cars you're used to. You'll still see some of them, like that green car up top, that number 6 car up there, riding around, having a good time. But you'll see plenty of drivers who just right now are kind of just in a very older style paint schemes that really match this era. Maybe the sponsors match, maybe the colors match. The community's done an amazing job with these cars.
And put on some spectacular racing with some of the events we've seen. Oh, near contact between the friends McAdams and Butler. Butler near pushed up. For actually using a little bit of a bump draft here. Oh, wow, the 32 wants that lead back. Remember, right now, Butler and McAdams fighting on slightly older tires compared to some of the others. Looking like some others also getting a bit sporty there. John Schwartz went up the racetrack in that pack, also lost a little bit of ground out of frame now.
And the important part of that is to make sure you stay calm, right? It's just, you know, there's that old meme, keep calm, carry on. Losing the draft here is difficult, right? It's no fun. You don't want to do it, but don't try too hard to fix that. Let it come back to you. Maybe it'll be a checkup. Maybe a car wiggles and kind of comes back to you. And just kind of see if you can catch the draft again. Maybe you can hang on to it and get yourself back in the field when it's appropriate. So we said tonight in the opening we thought patience would be a word we'd use a lot. And right now the patience being shown by everybody. I mean, JP, we've seen maybe a couple cars in the wall, but we've seen a lot of politeness as far as, calling off your pit stops. We've seen a couple of apologies for maybe some close moves, but we've seen a lot of patience. Really no crazy moves have been made so far.
Now seeing the different lane choices once again coming into play. Butler still has not been able to do much for the third position except run to the inside. You know who's done a good job recovering in this pack is there's an error poke. Hold on. This is for the lead instead. Frisch took the run, took the inside, takes it away. Butler nearly followed through for second.
Yeah, that was maybe one of our closer moments of the night right there in that move. So kind of got my hair stood up a little bit, got me nervous, but we're all good here. Sean Butler back in the second. Now getting that push from behind from a familiar name in Kevin McAdams. So he's got to feel comfortable knowing he has a familiar name that he trusts in his mirror.
I was about to give a shout out to Jordan Worth, by the way, in terms of what he's done. He was once the drivers that was at risk of losing the pack last run. He's gone up 26 now, like Jawa, who's gone up 28. Oh, wow. He's going to watch them three wide. Brown pokes underneath McAdams. Jawa able to clear on by for third, all while Butler tries to push up and try and pull back the 58. Top three build a buffer as they fight it out for the lead.
Yeah, fighting out for the lead is what they're doing here. Now it's getting a little intense, getting a little pushy, a little risky. Maybe Michael Frisch here up front, and that iRacing #1 car is going to get the push from behind. But then that bottom lane is forming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I saw maybe like 6 cars back there. So that lane could prevail here very quickly if they want to, and if they push appropriately.
There's the push from McAdams. That just about does the lead there. Yes, it does. Butler out above Kevin McAdams. Bit of shake and bake yet again to be able to put the 32 up in front. They're still not done. Another swap for the race lead. Michael P. Frisch able to jump up to the point yet again with the pull. Here comes Jordan Worth nearly spinning it.
Well, and that's something we said all night, JP. Remember we talked pre-race about how many lead changes there would be, right? There were 39 last night in the fixed race. So no surprise, we're 3 wide on the back straight. We're trying to get another lead change in.
Yeah, they're getting very aggressive up here. Some of the drivers getting really entertained by this showcase. McAdams now trying to wrap the bottom. Here comes Matthews Wack, the newest challenger, approaching. And now it looks like it's going to be the battle between the Fords and the Buick of Frisch. Frisch stays to the outside, pulled by the 32. Now Matthews Wack Chevy tries to jump in again.
They're getting close. This is close. We've seen it all night. Look at that 39 up there, basically rubbing up against the 1. It's just so close is how they are running here. And of course, Butler, trying to get up there, trying to get every ounce of speed. Now he's going to get past in the bottom. Here comes a 16. Now they're 3 wide per second.
Joe Worm
60
now sliding it up. Hold on to it. Zwack trying to fight it out yet again. And they are getting very chippy out here in terms of how they're racing. These drivers 16, 20 laps into the run when it comes to the fuel stint so far. It's been some uber aggressive battling. These drivers are just having a ball out here. It's quite simple. They're fighting like this because they can. They can fight, and this car can handle the battle.
Yeah, you can tell who's good at this car and how well they're doing and how close they're getting and how everyone's just kind of calm, cool, collect another 3 wide battle here on the bottom. That's going to be the 20. Oh my gosh. Just lit up in front of Butler. That's Kevin McAdams, and I mean, that's trust, but that was close.
2 drivers with pro licenses battling it out now up front. Outside first, inside Zwack. Looks like Zwack's not able to get the help this time. Instead, McAdams and Butler ditching him here. Some uber aggressive battling. It's to the point where new challengers are approaching. Blake McCandless has re-entered the conversation back there in the 2. Jaden Hopp in the pink car has also moved up for the first time into the conversation inside the top 10.
Yeah, Hop's an amazing driver, a driver who typically I see race more of the ARCA car, honestly, but has this an amazing set of iRacing skills. I'm thrilled to see him here on the broadcast, thrilled to see him up in the top 10. He's currently up, by the way, 21 spots on the night, JP.
He's looking for more. You see him in that pink machine surrounded by the Dale Sr. 1987 paint schemes right behind Parker. Just amongst those, just elect to carry the momentum up the outside line right now. Inside is still working really good in the corners. McAdams now trying to make a boost, got boxed in. David Brown now joins on the outside fight. Also, his drivers just changing spots time in and time out right now. But it's been made pretty clear, if you are in the lead and know how to control both lines here, you can become the Pied Piper like a Dale Jr. or Brad Keselowski of the modern day.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit of a Dale Sr., right? Kind of had that same set of skills, a little bit of push from the back, from the 20 to the 1. Here comes a 39 back to the bottom. This is heating up now. Now it feels like as we now are getting closer and closer to halfway, it feels like the drivers want to lead. For that first run, we saw everyone sit back, maybe take notes of what the car could do, maybe get comfortable or just get the jitters out. But now, I mean, heck, we're not even halfway, and these guys are racing.
Zooming it on out as we go here. Just received an interesting note here. Part of the reason Carson Hocefarth might have had issues, apparently he is driving without brakes. That's not good. If that is true, going to say the very least, you need brakes to slow down pit road here. And
yeah, I don't have a comment for that. I don't even have words for that. If that's true, I don't know what to make. I'm sure there's people maybe watching Carson, if he is streaming, and maybe have verified or not verified that. I don't know, but that's a wild story because these cars, I mean, in any car, you need brakes at Daytona, but wow, I don't know.
Yeah, that would explain why he didn't get rolling on pit road if he had a pedal issue. Just riding in the draft. Oh, we've had one car in the wall. 28's in the wall right now down to the fence as they battle for the race lead. McAdams trying to go for it. Forrester just slammed and broke the axle. We stay green as the 28 pulls off.
That's unfortunate for Forrester. That's going to end that night. Benjamin Forrester will not repeat in the fixed setup. Firecracker 400 won it last night. Was hoping to do it again. That dream has come to a conclusion. So I was going to say congrats to these drivers so far. We're 65 laps in, no cautions, been green flagged the whole way. But JP, the new concern for the leaders, if you look up ahead, this is Forrester first. Just watch this. Just gets up there and just cracks the wall. Honestly, what happens? The car happens. Oh, that's probably why right there. So that first hit wasn't very hard. It's probably the second hit that broke the axle.
Definitely the second hit. Less than 100 laps to go already in this race. We are flying through this one, halfway through the second stint of the race. Looks like David Brown looking to take the lead for the first time. Hasn't led any laps so far tonight. The Buick of Frisch goes for the squeeze. Side by side, 3-4 rows deep, in fact. But again, it just seems like the trend that we normally see here, Darren. Outside line better down the straightaways has been prominent all night long. Is there a way you can break that up in these 87 cars, you think, to try and get the inside in a position where you can make that move down a straightaway and try and set something up outside of, slingshot on the entry?
There's a couple ways. The slingshot may work. I think it's also about being more aggressive when it's time, right? It's not time to be aggressive yet, but when it's time to be aggressive, these gaps will close between these cars. These drivers will get more willing to bump. Maybe not to push, but a bump here or there, just to see if you can help someone along, and that will close up some of this distance and some of these gaps and some of these everything we're seeing pretty quick. But right now, there's no need to do that. We're not even halfway in. There's no need to take yourself out of a race by just getting too aggressive too early. Now, JP, the new concern I have for the leaders up ahead, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 cars who either are a lap down or about to be a lap down. And Michael Frisch is only about, less than half a corner from catching him.
And we've seen the lap traffic that's been able to keep up decently with the draft so far. Hocevar is that barometer. Should be interesting to see how they fare out now. Justin Malillo just trying to be a turtle, try and keep things clean to the inside. Now he chooses middle. CJ and Hop, his view to the windshield as the leaders will see that car now poke inside. Malillo follows the lap down.
Yeah, Malillo's a driver I think everyone trusts here to do the right thing. A driver that's well respected for both his driving abilities and his work at iRacing, his work before he joined iRacing, being a well-known name in the community for article writing and pictures and everything he was doing. So someone you feel comfortable passing is Justin Malillo. He'll stay out of the way. You would have to pick my jaw up off the ground, JP, if Justin was involved in any kind of reckless moment. That's just not the style of racer we know him to be.
Usually loves to have fun. He's been running the league scene for a long time in FTF competition. Some of his team members and some of his broadcasters, in fact, when you consider McCandless's experience, have looked outright quick. No, they recently switched over to the 2003 Cup Cars for their main Cup Series for some of their events. Yeah, looks like they've now got to have, oh boy, a lap car trying to break up the leaders. That's Trunowski trying to move up in front of the leader and takes the spot on the pack. That was a bit dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous, in fact. Here's a look on board twice. You got the outside view from the front of the pack. Got Jaden Hop back in P6 having an amazing run. A member of the High Tide Racing League doing an amazing job getting through the field here. And he's going to pass that lap car on the bottom. He'll get around. And again, we're now single file for at least the first 6, 7, maybe 8 cars on the top lane.
Right back to where we were previously at this point of the stint, it seems. This seems to be now the calm period once again. Right now, we are running with 31 still in the lead lap. Next in range to be lapped are Matthew McGowan and Hayden Swing, for those curious. McCandless, once those who does a lot of work, runs with Junior Motorsports now in the NASCAR Cup iRacing Series, commentator for the Coke Series for a few seasons. Also amongst those who works on the Cards Tour as a broadcaster, but also in the sim community, runs a lot of sim events. Looks like he has gotten the command from Frisch to be able to take the lead into one. McCandless to the point.
Yeah, and just to put an end cap on that point you made, Blake loves running events with these cars. So it's not just running events. He gets plenty of experience in these cars. So he's very happy. And look at that, as you said, made the pass for the lead, got up top, getting the push, is clear. And if he comes back around to the line, will officially be your new leader.
So far tonight, we've had grand total now of 8 leaders with McCandless included. And one of the drivers are mentioning the issues on trying to battle with dirty air. Clean air is key, obviously, Derek.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that, you know, clean air, dirty air, and that's probably a lot of what we're seeing as far as passing drivers, right? This single file racing we're seeing, it's when you have clean air in front of you, that car behaves exactly as you expect it to. All those practice laps you put in, it's basically just running those kind of laps. But if you're second, third, fourth, fifth in line in any pack, there's so much air coming back in your car. Now, we call it the draft because it does help keep you up to speed, but it can affect how the car handles, it can affect how it behaves in the corner, how loose it gets, how tight it gets, just whatever that air does to you can frustrate you and confuse you as a driver. So you have to kind of figure it out. And the last thing you want to do is pull out a line, right? You say, hey, if I pull out a line, I may get some clean air on the bottom in this case, but boy, if no one else pulls out with me, I could go from, you know, second, third, fourth, fifth in line to the back very quickly.
Yes. All these competitors going to be having to think, can they get themselves to the point at the right time? So these drivers just having a good time, as they are saying on the radio, is the key thing. Just continuing to fuel the vibes. David Brown saying, oh look, a run. Takes the outside yet again. It's quite simple. A lot of these drivers, if you leave the outside open, are just going to take it right now. That seems to be where the car wants to go.
Yep. I would agree with that completely. I do. I think that's awesome of a call, because that seems what's happening. I think what's going to happen here, JP, last time we saw Sean Butler basically lead that whole first fuel run. There's been so many lead changes this fuel run that if we stay green here, I think everyone kind of pits together. Remember, Butler had to pit early because he had less fuel from leading that pack. I mean, we've seen McCandless up there. We've seen Brown up there. We've seen different drivers up front in this fuel run. So as we're now approaching less than 10 laps before our second set of pit stops, it's going to be very interesting to see. I bet these pit stops happen more succinctly than they did the first time around.
Yes. So far, great job by the field. You have to give credit, by the way, nearly halfway through already. Keeping this going. Oh, hold on. Tracy Petter right in the middle of the racetrack. Lap car goes middle.
Wow.
Wow. Welcome out of pit road, Tracy. And
wow.
He's a run and a half.
There was some upset voices after that, and I understand why, because that was a crazy move. Now, Tracy, of course, trying to his lap back the old-fashioned way, trying to get up here. And so despite that car being up front, he is not the leader. But look how much faster he is with those new tires. He is blowing away from this field despite the draft.
I'm going to repeat this one more time. The 5 came out of pit road and apparently chose the middle, not realizing where they were on the track on the radio.
Wow.
And, yeah, that woke up the field.
Yeah, woke up everybody. That had every right to be a massive wreck. I mean, just from the ingredients mixed in right here, that could have been awful. And he's coming in. That's even more confusing.
So must have had an issue. And, yeah, black flag on speeding, too. We have a car in the grass. Mitch Trunowski, who was in that lead group as a lap car, also ducked down to pit road. Remember, had been amongst those coming in early previously, has just spun into his pit stall.
And that'll, of course, be a black flag for unsafe pit entry. He'll have to deal with that. Despite coming in through the grass, you can't get on pit road that way. So That'll be a second black flag and a second lap for a different driver. But up front, it's still McCandless. It's Brown, it's Zwack, and others here. Zayden Hop up to P4 in that bright pink machine, by the way. So Hop is just really moving through the field. Here, watch Trunowski. I think he wanted to pit. See, actually, he was on pit road first, JP, so he might avoid the penalty for that. But on pit road first is way speeding, so he'll get the penalty for speeding, but I don't think he'll eat the unsafe pit entrance since he was on pit road first.
He was about 40 laps in the run, so having him hit before halfway. Drivers now 36 laps or so in the run. Remember, some of the drivers went as far as 43 laps in terms of their first stints. So when you think about it that way, 40, 80, 120, 160, you're talking about essentially you can make it on 3 pit stops, maybe 4. These drivers are going to have to be on the mark for their second set of pit stops coming up here in the next wave.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking, though, if I'm maybe Michael Frisch, who went 44 laps the first time, if I'm Caden Rush, who went 45 laps the first time, what I'm thinking is if I can do that again and again, I go 45, 90, 135, then my last pit stop is way shorter for fuel. I could possibly make up some time on pit road by not needing all that gas. I think that's why you're excited to stay out longer than 40, 40, 40 if you can do it. If you have that option, you want to stay out as long as possible.
Yeah, it kind of shortens up the run towards the end. Yes, you'll have fresher tires. We've seen the freshest tires move to the front of the field array in this pack, Derek, by the end of the run. But you're going to have to also make up that ground. Sean Butler just said on the radio, I am pitting this time. Lucasa has gone into pit road the previous time, so the window is open for the race leaders to duck down. We are at halfway here in the Firecracker 400.
Yeah, so I see him come down this time. We'll see if he comes alone again. Remember, last time he came down alone. He did not have, McCandless or McAdams or anyone with him. We'll see if that changes in the second run or if he continues to pit alone. We're hearing those other pit calls come across the iRacing Drivers Radio, so let's watch the entry here and see what happens. Not that many cars coming down. There'll be a few, but more cars staying out on track. There's Butler pitting, and down on speed, he's good, and the field goes on by.
No issues on the entry once again, able to keep it clean so far. No issues for this run. We get a couple speeding penalties. Remember the first swing to pit road. Remember some of those who are on older tires like Mitch Hughes were at the back of the lead group. 22's coming in this time by Hayden Swank, but also more importantly Wesley Parker's 13 is amongst those peeling on down. Anyone secret pitting? Looks like 1 or 2. That includes a dive to pit road for the 22, believe. There they go. More pit stops this wave, so they continue on a frequent window, trying to keep things smooth, no issues, try to make sure there's no contact, don't lock up the brakes.
Yeah, the no speeding is maybe the biggest point, right? Don't eat that 40-second penalty or whatever it's going to be here for speeding. Don't do that. But no surprise here, by the way. McCandless, Zwack, Brown staying out. They all made it 44 laps the first time, so you would think they would have about 3 or 4 more laps left in that tank. Drew Joa went 43 laps. Hop went 44. So this front pack here, they have a few laps left in the tank. So no surprises either out there since they were out there the first time on fuel. Well, now we're past halfway, JP, as we see the black flag for Wesley Parker. Now, everything changes for the driver. Now we're in pit stops, so you got to get around these first, but now the laps count down instead of up. Now it almost feels like now you have to start making moves. Now you start planning ahead. That time to wait, that time to rest, that time to kind of chill and hang out is ending lap by lap, minute by minute, as this race goes on.
The speeding penalty, by the way, was on exit for Parker, so he'll have to come back down pit road. A disastrous sequence now for the 13 machine. As more drivers get themselves peeling to the inside. Kevin McAdams just got himself speeding. or at least some contact off the 31. Believe he didn't get it somehow in the sim, but he was above the limit at the speed. John Schwartz may have just been his brake pedal.
Yeah, that's got to be an incredible bit of luck. Remember I said luck matters at Daytona? Well, moments like that where you can maybe get away with the speeding penalty and just get there to avoid that from happening. That's the kind of moments of luck that can change your race, right? One more oomph of speed and he may have been finding himself black flagged. So good job there. These cars continue to go around. Working lap 85. We suspect they could go to 88. Could McCandless, Zwack, Brown, and others. So few more laps in. Never mind. Zwack has just made the announcement, JP. He's going to pit from P2 next time by.
Michael Friedrich also coming in this way. 42 laps is the stint length. And a lot of people having issues. That's another one. Kevin McAdams also had missed it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So the good news is you're within company who did it, so you're not the only one. But still, it's going to put you behind those who don't make that mistake. And that's just one of those things that eats you alive as a driver. It's a silly mistake. There's no one to blame but yourself. It gets under your skin. And then it gets hard to calm down. But here, watch this now. Everyone else pitting for the most part. Brown, Hop stays out. But here's McCandless on back.
These were your battle for the race leaders here outside of Thomas Reed, who joins the conversation in this wave. McCandless running through all the pit stalls as they can make their way on through. David Brown's indicated a pit stop coming up this time by. The net leader at the moment is Sean Butler. Jeremy Casa, who came in as the first one to pit, is in the draft as well of the 39. However, is losing ground, trying to slice and dice his way through the driver's little tires.
Yeah, doing a great job, isn't he? Just impressing with how well he's doing here. Rush, of course, near leader for the moment. We'll wait and see where this all cycles out when we're all done. We're working lap 88, so this is about the point when everyone should almost be done. I think Rush might be, JP, the last car not to pit. In fact, he is. He last pitted on lap 45, so maybe he could go one more before he feels the need to be down pit road.
Yeah, right now trying to stretch the fuel run as far as they can. That would put those who are staying out this far within 34 laps to go to the pit. Joe Amonsto's having some issues. Black flag for them just now, as you've seen at the top board. So now the net lead being controlled by David Brown. That won't last for long because Sean Butler drives his way on through with lap traffic pulling him forward. Maximo and Bianco is the car he's working with. He's got Brad Newman behind, and they've got a buffer by almost a second over the rest of the lead group.
Yeah, right now it's going to look confusing at the top of the left of your screen on a scoring pylon because of the fact we still have a car that hasn't pitted. And there's second place. That 36 car is pitting now. So he just pitted last time by, I thought. I'm a little confused unless my timing and scoring is wrong. Okay, I guess we're getting bad info on timing and scoring. I apologize.
Yes. He won 45. Just getting the service done. Caden Rush finishes up the cycle. And now we'll see where the leaders start to settle in here. Jeremy Casa up here. Jordan Worth also joining the fray. Mitch Hughes in the pack. Michael Frisch trying to gain a lot of ground also in this group. So a lot of separation has built up. This was what we were expecting, the pack to lose more and more cars here.
Yeah, this is exactly what we thought was going to happen as these cars get tougher to drive. Pit stops become the equalizer, right? So many people missing pit stalls or speeding penalties, black flags. So this is going to happen here. But almost inevitably, JP, it feels like every time we do this Daytona where we spread out and we, really break apart, somehow when it's time, when it's 10 to go, 5 to go, I bet somehow they're all bunched back together as if it never happened.
Mind you, we've gone 90 laps green this time by Leader's not going to appreciate this. 3 wide with the leader from lap traffic. And here comes Jordan Worth. He's now within a range to be able to pounce for the lead on 2 lap pressure tires. Everybody else is closed on up rapidly from it.
Yeah, I told you, somehow they'll all find a way back together in that moment. So here's Worth now trying to make the pass on the inside, and that Wrangler machine is now going to have to battle with a push from the back to Sean Butler. The fact the inside lane hasn't worked as well, the fact that the outside lane seems to be more comfortable, and Jordan Worth will not make the pass, at least that time, in 1 and 2.
Truck moves out of the way of 1 car. Mitch Hughes now drives his way around for 3rd as well. Can Worth find his way to the lead for the first time tonight? He's trying to take some pokes. On-time friend in front of him. So far, the FTF back cars have dominated this race if you look at the lap markers. Here comes Worth, though. He wants to join his name under the leaders list. Better run for the outside still by Butler.
Yeah, Worth's going to need some help from the bottom. He's going to need 2 or 3 cars to get down there with him through the corner and kind of help push. There's 1 car down there who's going to try to help push. Probably needs 1, maybe 2 more drivers down there so he can help get that push. But we'll look at that push to the front through before the beginning of the corner. Let's see if he keeps it, does Worth, or if Butler catches up on the top side. But Worth's going to get it. Worth could clear this any moment now and sticks to the bottom. This will be a drag race back to the line here.
All sorts of squabbling with the lap cars mixed in here in this fight. Right now, the top 4 have about a 2-second buffer to everyone else in the lead groupings. Of note, bad news if you're a David L. Brown fan. The Nexus Esports machine, technical issue, out of the race. The 9 machine had been in the top 10 and had been a contender for the win. Not anymore. Speaking of drivers jumping in here, Thomas Reed, another lapper, joining. A lot of lap cars are in the mix of this lead fight right now.
Yeah, this is, I mean, and that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with these lead lap cars being up here in the battle. Remember, they have to earn laps back the old-fashioned way. There is no lucky dog here. So if you want to get back on the lead lap, you have to race your way around, get around the leader, and then hope that caution comes out. So as long as you're doing it clean, as long as you're doing it respectfully, as long as you're not beating and bumping and banging and causing wrecks, I'm all for it. It's exciting to see what can happen on the bottom of this track. So we'll see if anyone can help them get around here.
By the way, bad news for Kevin McAdams fans. He did pick up damage from the whole sequence, can confirm, from that pit entry and missing the box situation and leaning on Swartz coming into the pit lane. So they have lost the draft 13 seconds back. Caden Rush also has lost this lead train. 9 are officially in the choo-choo train now as we go. And these leaders are going to have to deal with lap cars that are aggressive to get the lap back with how things have gone. Not wanting to wait here. Some of these drivers are taking some peeks and some privileges to the inside here.
Yeah, they really are. It feels like it's getting more and more racy. I told you, as the laps tick down, right? Time is relative in a race car. And what I mean by that, JP, is we'll watch 2 different views here. Let's watch McAdams first and his damage you alluded to.
This is the entry.
Yep, let's watch right about here. You see him just really has a hard time getting walled up in time for that car. There's the contact. Then into this, wow, they kind of hooked into one another and leaned there. And McAdams says he got the damage from that. A little off the pace. But I was going to say, you know, JP, time is relative in a race car. What I mean by that is right now, if you're Sean Butler, laps could not tick down fast enough. You were leading the race at Daytona. It's a special event. It's the Firecracker 400. This thing could not end up fast enough for you, right? But if you are anyone else, Worth, Hughes, Zwack, Hop, McCandless, Frisch, anyone else, John Schwartz back in the field, time is ticking away quicker quicker and quicker than you want it to. It is, into laps are getting closer by the minute, closer by the second, and you feel that pressure. You kind of begin to sweat, you begin to worry, you get stressed out because you don't know if you're gonna have time to make the move. You have to take every opportunity from here on out.
Melski just entered pit road and immediately picked up a black flag. That's why that just popped up there. But Mitch Hughes has done very well throughout the night. Just riding along and trying to settle on down here. He's just been there. What else can you say? He's in a great position to gain I rating if you think about things that way. He's in a great position to win the race. He's been a pusher. He's been in the conversation, at least in the top 10 since the drop of the green flag. He did not drop back and has maintained himself up here in the 34 here.
Has done an amazing job up in the 34, keeping himself involved in this battle, right? Just being up here all night long, being invisible, has Mitch Hughes, and a great job in that red car, having an amazing run. Well, JP, of course, all night long, we're broadcasting all across the iRacing channels, the Twitch, the YouTube, the RaceSpot channels, and lots of different viewers hanging out in different formats saying hello. Blake Hewlett, Michael Weaver hanging out watching the race. Kev Cooks is out there. We've seen many people in the Twitch chat asking questions. We're trying to answer them as we can in the Twitch chat or in the broadcast. So wherever you are, thank you for hanging out live, watching this race here, the Firecracker 400, one of the many iRacing special events this year. Thank you so much for hanging out, having a good time, rooting on your favorite drivers, and we see you. Even if we don't comment everything, trust me, we see you and we hear you, and we appreciate your time and your feedback you guys show in the chat.
For the race lead, you've seen Ward take a poke. He actually got the lead lap at the start and finish line, so Jordan Worth has joined the leaders list that is now around 10 cars strong here in this race. Looking like Mitch Hughes trying the outside line, but Ward's making it clear he wants to be able to lead comfortably. Just no place to take the run right now, inside or outside.
Yeah, nowhere to take that run. But again, I think it's going to happen, right? As you see Sean Butler back to the front, he's kind of lucked out here, maybe, JP, because he now has a car up ahead of him to pull a bit of draft off of. But I say maybe because as we keep hearing the reports from the drivers all night long about dirty air and what it does to the car, I wonder, is that good news for Sean Butler? Because in one hand, you maybe could save yourself a little iota of gas by following that lapped car. But if the dirty air really does create these handling problems, I don't know if you want to stay there.
Well, the outside is the preferred line. The tough thing is actually setting something up, it seems. But just almost run the lane that they're giving you. Right now, the lane Brown's giving to Butler is middle. Matthews whack. He's trying to make some inroads here. Zwack, at the moment, is one of the drivers with the freshest tires in this pack. Jaden Hopp is in the same situation. That's exactly what we were talking about with the fall-off ban. Now for some of the drivers reaching near 3 seconds in this race with all the rubber buildup. We're seeing some of those that are extending the runs the furthest, being able to have a little bit more oomph to make some aggressive moves later in the run.
Yeah, that's very true, right? I mean, just they're having a good time. They're just being calm, being patient, kind of riding the top of the racetrack for the most part. Something else maybe different than what we see in the modern scan of Daytona available in iRacing, where we typically see all the races kind of move to the bottom. We'll see some occasional lines up top, but this is the complete opposite, isn't it? It's just very different how it works. Here's a pass happening in the field here. An attempted pass on the bottom, but again, we'll wait and see if it works, JP.
He's got a lap car that I can use as a pick potentially if it comes down to it. Dwack just trying to stay safe to the inside while Worth still follows along on the preferred outside groove. Butler still feeding draft to him. So included in this pack for those curious are Butler, Worth, Zwack, Hughes, Hopp, McCandless, Frisch, Lucasa, Rush, and Schwartz. Those drivers have an 18-second buffer to McAdams. Then for the race leader, it's 25 seconds to where Wyatt Gray is. That is a massive amount of interval picked up, and these drivers are still running 3/10 quicker than that second pack. It's been that way all night.
Yeah, this has been amazing, hasn't it? Just to watch that form and watch everything happen here. But JP, one of the things I want to talk about real quick, as you now approach over lap 100, how bumpy this racetrack is. We talked about this being the older scan of iRacing, or of Daytona on iRacing. This track is not smooth. It's difficult. Driving this car is like driving a jackhammer. That's what it feels like for some people. So I thought, let's do this, JP. Let's lay out for a lap or two. Let's crank up the audio on these cars. And I want the drivers just to get a first-hand view of how bumpy a lap or two around Daytona is. Let's do it here. It doesn't matter whether you're riding the top of the track, the bottom of the track, you're alone in a draft. That was just a very bumpy ride, right? The way I was thinking about it in my head as I was watching this on boards, it's like riding an old wooden roller coaster, man. If you go to Kings Island, if you live in the States down in Cincinnati, Ohio, they at one point had the Beast. It was this amazing wooden roller coaster, but boy, it took you for a ride as it threw you around and rattled your body. That's kind of what it's like to drive these cars on this old racetrack.
And it used to be a difficult track, and still is. Some of the bumps are coming back now in the modern day. This track used to be a challenge in this style of racing back in the day. Coming up towards 53 to go, next time by in this race, by the way. We are about halfway through this fuel run, just like that. So, see where drivers now settle on down and settle on in, close things out. It looks like everybody just trying to eye themselves up for that money stop. That's going to be so important with how the fall off is here tonight, Derek. That timing is in about 10 laps until we get the green light on fuel to be able to make it to the end on gas. It's going to be important to choose that lap correctly.
Yeah, whether you want to pit early when the window opens and come down and get your tires and make those tires work for you, whether you want to stay out as late as humanly possible and maybe the short pit stop offsets the tires, or maybe you stay out and our first yellow happens, or whatever happens. This is where we always say this is where crew chiefs make their money. You know, this is where, while we don't have many, maybe no crew chiefs in this session. I'll take a look in a second and see, but this is where a crew chief or a strategist makes their money on a team, is by making these calls. Because as a driver right now, you're trying to fight the car, you're fighting the track, you're fighting your opponents, and you're trying to make those decisions. My gosh, how much more can you handle at one moment?
I'm not quite sure, but these drivers have to choose it right if they want to be able to try and win this race. Most part, no one's really risking any moves except for maybe Michael Fritsch at the moment. He's trying the inside at the moment, trying to make a run on Caden Rush. And you know the wild thing? Rush, before all these cycles, was nowhere to be found in the pack. He had been adrift for much of this race, or at the tail end of the choo-choo train. He's amongst those now in this conversation too. The car right behind that 2 machine you see in the right hand of your screen.
Yeah, remember, Caden was involved very briefly at the top of the pylon during that first set of pit stops. Stayed out longer than anyone. And since then has kind of cycled through the field a couple times and had some moments up top and some moments back to the field with those pit cycles. But doing a pretty solid job. 51 laps to go is where we are. Now, in my mind, JP, it's go time. It's 50 to go. You've got to start making moves. You've got to start being more aggressive. Maybe you bump a little bit more than normal. Maybe you don't, you don't back off as much as you once were. And this is the danger zone of this race.
Here's the second pack all the way at the start and finish line. Well, the leaders are in 3 and 4, by the way. Wyatt Gray's back there. Timothy Moore. Chris Jockey back there. Ted Lowendick is in that grouping. AJ Green. A lot of others. And as they've just said on the radio, we need a yellow. I mean, it's pretty clear they need a yellow flag at this point if it stays green.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because if we got one right now, it would not be the final stop. They would be short, even under the caution. But I think the fear we have right now, that old cautions breed cautions mentality, right? That old slogan, the saying, the cliche, what have you, it's probably what everyone's concerned about. It's not the first caution. It's what happens here. We get the field bunched up. People get aggressive. People get, maybe a little desperate to make a move. And so as much as maybe a couple drivers here and there want the caution, I bet I know a few who do not want that caution to come out.
Starting to get a little bit racy again. Here comes McCandless trying the outside. Caden Rush trying to make the move inside. A lot of playing with the throttle right now from Rush. Possibly the clutch there on the inside as he tries to fight it out for the top 5. Nearly drifted up.
Oh boy, that's maybe the closest we've seen to contact tonight. Right in front of Jaden Hopp, who had the best seat in the house to watch that happen. Hopp now up in P5. That means that was the battle for P3, P4. And that's got to be the closest bit of contact you and I've seen all night as far as side-by-side racing. And I thought maybe that was finally the one. I'm proud of those guys for not making that happen.
Back at the end of the lead pack. Meanwhile, it looks like this. Can also remember started things off as the net leader through the cycle. His tires have held up very well in this run, and that's been an important part of his race. Had not been really in the conversation before that point, and now is in position. If he's able to time up this pit stop right, he's within 10 laps of his pit window.
Yeah, everyone is. I mean, you think right now, everyone, probably what we see of the numbers for some drivers, JP, some drivers maybe only 3 or 4 laps from their pit window. You would think, right? 48 to go. We've seen some drivers go 44 to 45 laps. So we're quickly approaching that moment of this final pit stops. Now, hopefully everyone has clean pit stops, no speeding, no unsafe entries, no unsafe exits. Maybe we almost saw one of those earlier. And we'll see who can gain what here. Riding on board with Blake McCandless, having a good run. It's been up front all night, and JP, not surprised. The NASCAR driver, as I said earlier, loves these cars, loves to put on special events for them, so it just kind of makes sense to see Blake up front, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Especially what he's been able to do in these cars. Butler's doing a great job leading all night. 58 laps led, though. He's going to be very difficult to beat. Zwack trying the inside to get around him. Gets back in line. As they get all squared away behind lap traffic. Some of the others still trying to make some moves. Zwack gets a huge one. Not going to have a chance to clear up, though, with the lap traffic. Butler able to get his foot to the pedal.
There's foot to the pedal, but maybe right now this could be a shot if enough drivers move to the bottom. With Butler kind of stuck right there, I thought for sure that was the chance to maybe get around Butler and make it happen. But instead, Zwack got up there in front of Jordan Worth, in front of Caden Rush. But I was surprised. I thought that would have been the moment I would have made the move and tried to have passed with lead on the bottom.
And now they're starting to get impatient now with lap traffic. Trying to ditch Brown, who's been running in front of the leaders after technical issues of the past few laps. Everybody trying to carve by him quickly.
Yeah, doing a great job here as the field. Man, that onboard ride is just, wow.
And keep in mind, as said, Rush is clutching. He's been stretching everyone as far as possible. I almost wonder if Rush is thinking 2 tires and maybe not a full tank of fuel to save time in pit road.
Yeah, that's what I think for some of these drivers, right? Some of these drivers who can push it a good number of laps beyond. That's got to be the call in my mind, because that's how you make this work, is by not eating that full pit stop. And, there's been an analogy maybe that, 1 second on pit road equals 2 seconds on track. That number goes up and down depending on who you ask and the opinions and maybe the cars and the track. But if you can save time on pit road here, you could save a lot of time on a track. But off screen, Mickey Tuttle, the newest car to call it a night. I believe due to some connectivity problems, has sort of disappeared from the race and called it a night. So I say that, JP, to celebrate this race. I mean, here we are, 44 laps to go. A good number of cars, 22 still in the lead lap. And I believe there are still 36 on the track.
Yeah, 36 still running in this race, including David Brown, who came back from the technical issue. Still plenty of opportunity to be able to pick up some I-rating, or at the very least, fight for this race win. Right now, the drivers that are 43 laps to go. That's the very edge of the green light on fuel. So we are just about in range to be able to make it to the checker flag here. If they start diving on down, no calls yet as to be expected here, but it's going to be important to be on the right call. There's a look now on board with some of those in the choo-choo train. This is with Caden Rush. He's been very careful on throttle. He's only 29 laps into his run.
So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about the pros and cons of pitting right here, right? The pro of pitting right here, if your window is open, which I believe it is for everyone at this point, is new tires, right? New tires, you have the gas. There's no overtime in this. There's no green, white checkers. We know how many laps we're going. That's the positive. That peace of mind of knowing what you have. The negative is you're holding your breath. You're white knuckled. You're crossing your fingers, your toes, whatever you have, hoping a caution does not come out until the pit cycle is completed. If you end up a lap down here, it's all for nothing. Now, pitting late, you kind of get to know, more information about if or when that caution is coming. But if you pit too late, as JP said, the problem is you can't afford to sit there and take 4 tires. Your advantage is less time on pit road, maybe 2 tires, maybe no tires, although I think that would be crazy and just gas only. So there's pros and cons to each side of the strategy, JP.
Yeah, there's so much to consider right now in the near future, and that future, I think it's about 2-3 laps time for drivers like Butler. Ned, caution!
Oh, there's a caution. There it is.
Everything out the window. Greg John goes around on the front straightaway, and we're under yellow for the first time.
1 hour, 33 minutes and 5 seconds into the race, the yellow flies for the very first time. And I think that is a stat to be celebrated. No matter what's going to happen from here on out, that is a stat every driver in this race can take away and say, yeah, I was part of that, because that is an incredible, incredible run. Now from here, everyone will pit. Everything I just said, pros, cons, are out the window. Everyone's going to pit 4 tires of gas. Oh, there he goes around, got hit by a car, couldn't see the number up top, and the wreck was on at Daytona.
And he's parked it for the night. Greg John then proceeds to back up in the grass. That could have been dangerous. Doing Dry with him also involved. And this, well, that takes away the strategy equation. Have to take the 4 tires and fuel. You'd have to think for most. Yep. We might still see 2 tires here, but everybody should be good to go on fuel. It's now going to be the question on how they battle it out.
Yeah, you could see a 2-tire call. We've seen it happen a couple times tonight, but as a whole, I just think that it's 4. You have to be equal with your opponents.
That I can see, absolutely. As they will come down pit road with 39 to go at the stripe. And looks like just about all the leaders able to come on down here. Now, we do have a wave around to give a correction from earlier. Some did note that a lucky dog was... Oh, Butler, my goodness, he's not in his box.
Wow. That's going to cost Butler so much. That's probably going to cost him a chance to win. Honestly, he's going to be in the back of this field here. Now, right, there are wave arounds. You can stay out and you can get a wave around here. There's no lucky dogs, so you have to kind of earn it the old-fashioned way. Those drivers will not be allowed to pit. They will wave around, so... But it's going to put them to the back of the field. So Thomas Reed, Wesley Parker, Cale Spicer, and those drivers who did not pit from a lap down, yeah, they'll get their lap back, but they're going to start at the back of the field, so a big disadvantage.
Big mistake by Butler in the money stop.
Yeah.
That puts him 15.
Disappointing.
And now it's Matthew Zwack, who did have a 13-second pit stop, who takes the lead. Butler, his mistake, have to have a lot of traffic to deal with the rest of the way after entering pit road second spot. And can confirm 2 tires was taken by the 3 car, should say, to jump up to the front of the field. Jaden Hopp second, Blake McCann was third, Caden Rush third, around fourth. Michael Fritsch in the top 5, Lucasa, along with Hughes, Swartz, Gray, Matt Kluse, now the top 10. This is going to be a wild stretch to the finish here. You should see the intensity level is about to pick up very quickly here, Derek.
Oh yeah, it's going to get very intense, very wild, very chaotic. There's a car faking a pit stop. Nope. Coming down.
No wave around.
Yep, no wave around. So I want to say this is probably our chance to talk about the restart. Right? This is not going to be your typical NASCAR restart. Maybe you're watching these cars, maybe you've never done them in iRacing. As we've seen, hearing the comments from the drivers, hey, some drivers weren't alive when this car was ran, which makes me feel a little older than I want to be. There's Sean Butler, by the way. That's the trouble on pit road. But so single file restarts for the most part. All leaders single file. There's no double wide here. There's no chance to get a good jump on a leader. Those cars to the inside, JP, those are going to be lap down cars. This is old school NASCAR. I think this ended in what, 2004, 3? When I don't remember when this rule ended. I was trying to think of it in my head, but this is how it's going to work here. All lead lap cars to the top. And you cannot pass, by the way, on the bottom until you get to the start-finish line.
And this is going to be a show. It's going to be important to get the lap traffic dealt with quickly, you'd have to think. So once again...
And that's the goal.
Yeah, 22 cars are on the lead lap here.
Yeah, that's the goal, by the way, for everyone up top, is to hopefully your drafting lane moves and you get around those lap down cars to the inside. Now, what those lap down cars are hoping is they can quickly get a jump and they can get ahead of the leader, so if another yellow does happen, they're no longer lap down cars. But look at how deep that line is in the back. Some of those drivers are going to get affected by that inside lane. So this is going to be a really wild restart, one we're not used to seeing in iRacing. I don't know the last time I've seen a league or a race use this outside of the 87s, JP. I know the Gen 4s now use it in official races, but this is going to be exciting.
Firecracker 400 coming down to what is going to be one more fuel stint, essentially. Green, green, green. Back underway, and we have tire spin. Zwack with tire spin off the launch. Good restart by Brown on the inside.
Yeah, that's going to put that car in the bottom technically, and for at least for a second up on the lead lap, but I think that won't last here because Zwack, Hop, and others are going to get a massive run up here up top. They'll use that drafting ability. Now here's the problem. Look at all that beating and banging. We're almost pushing the pusher. There's a common phrase we use in NASCAR and super speedways, but this is going to probably get a little messy for a lap or two until these guys can get single filed out and get spread out. But they're 3 wide on the bottom of the track here.
Oh, some people getting pushed and shoved back there. That was Hayden Swank, one of the lap cars. Still no moves for the lead as they still fight to get the lap back the old-fashioned way.
And Jaden Hopp is stuck, right? Jaden Hopp has cars to the inside that are fighting to get on the lead lap. He could not move down if he wanted to. He has to stay in line. The only move he could possibly make is try to form a top lane on Matthew Zwack, and I don't think Zwack is leaving enough space for that to happen. So this for Zwack, for McCandless, for Rush, for Frisch, this has got to be frustrating because you feel like someone else is controlling your destiny.
On the draft block, no one able to clear on by at the moment.
There's Frisch at the bottom, by the way. Frisch has decided he wants to try and do something different. That one car on the bottom of the iRacing car is going to try and come on around.
Yeah, trying to find a way to push forward. This is all working perfectly for Zwack at least. Oh, now Carson Hocevar trying to push the issue. He takes the 3 wide, trying to find his way up to the front of this.
Somehow that's not surprising, is it? That Carson Hocevar wants to try to find his way to the front. That's what I'll say is not really a surprising call, but he's going to try and get on around here. Now, remember, Hocevar had some issues earlier. Remember, you said you heard the report he had no brakes. So a lot of stories to still maybe develop there in these last 35 laps.
Right now, at this point, David Brown, at least in position to get one of his laps back, but not all of them. Wesley Parker looking to do the same here. He's trying to find his way at the tail end of the lead lap so he can put himself in front of Matthew Zwack. Still not able to push his way ahead, but able to get his nose ahead. And that opens up the bottom alongside the leader here. Does anybody try and take that line? Answer is not yet. How about 3 wide in the battle for first car lap down as Zwack tries to clear the lappers.
Yeah, trying to clear the lappers, and Jaden Hopp, I think, is a loser up top of that pink car. He's trying to lift and just save this car, and I'm concerned what's going to happen in this run here if he gets passed again or what happens. But if you want to know which car is Hocevar, that's that green car right there, 3 wide in the middle. That's Carson Hocevar. So he now is up here and is trying to right his destiny, trying to get his lap back, trying to be on the lead lap in case something happens, is what he's hoping for.
And he has, so has Cale Spicer. In terms of lapping themselves here. Waiters are free for some side-by-side battling if they want now, though. Coming to 32 laps to go. First in line behind the leader, Jaden Hopp. But some of these lappers are not making it easy. They are racing uber aggressive here.
They really are. It's more aggressive than I remember earlier. I said I was okay with the lap cars being in the way. Now we're getting to the point with 33 to go. Where if I was Jaden Hopp, if I was Zwack, if I was Blake McCandless, any of those guys, I would probably be starting to go, okay, guys, listen, you had your fun. We played the game. You know, we played along. We were nice about it. But now it's time to get the heck out of my way. Now it's time to let the lead lap cars race for this and don't affect anything, right? Because every time a lap down car gets close in contact, you get nervous because one bad move could end not just your race, but probably 10, 15 other cars here very quickly in the Firecracker 400.
Here we go for the race lead. Michael P. Frisch making a move inside. Took a poke. Now has a pull of the draft off lappers. Cale Spicer slows him on up. Nose also made his way through all this. Sean Butler is back in the top 5.
That's
alongside
impressive.
Blake McCandless. My goodness.
I was wrong. I thought that move by Butler on pit road would probably have ended his shots at winning. But heck, if you've got yourself top 5 with 31 to go, congrats, bravo, my sincerest apologies for being wrong. But hold on, here's the pass for the lead right now because now Hocevar is trying to pull Zwack on along.
3 wide as Spicer got shuffled back a lap down. Butler pushed Frisch to
a knock.
Yeah, got an edge on the nose for a moment, but Frisch still has the edge on the inside.
That's clean air for Zwack will be interesting, right? We've heard all night long about how bad dirty air can be. Well, if you've got the clean air as Zwack on the outside lane, I wonder if that's going to help here. Remember, Zwack and Frisch are both kind of getting alternating drafts in that green car, of course. And Hocevar as Zwack lifted up in the track a little bit. And wow, that was a close moment.
Less than 30 laps to go now in this one. Zwack starting to get a bit impatient, starting to push Hocevar in the line. All of this as well. Frisch tries to clear to the inside. Trying to find his way in front of Zwack on the edge. Side by side behind him as well for third. Side by side to the head of the pack with the lappers as Parker falls back. Caution. Zwack is the leader, but the yellow flag is out.
And listen, for Hocevar, for the other cars ahead, I think that might have been Spicer, that might have been Brown. That's why you race so hard, right? I may not like it because I think maybe you think it affect a race, but those guys just put themselves back on the lap they want to be. But let's wait and see what caused the caution here with 29 laps to go. We'll wait and see who's involved, why they're involved. Look up top of your screen. Just contact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars maybe involved in this wreck, JP, right across the front straight.
But just back in the yellow, the cars amongst them, around them. And significant damage for that 29 machine. All of the back bumper and parts all over the place from the 16 car. Amongst those, issues. And not sure why we're all of a sudden very slow here. I think they're trying to sort out what the pace car is.
Yeah, I believe they're kind of waiting for the pace car to come around, I believe. Yep, there it's the pace truck. So.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, they found the pace truck.
So now see who wins here.
Who takes tires? Yeah, we know how important grip is. Yes.
Wholesale pit stops here. I thought this might be the case. Remember, I said earlier, if these guys had a chance, they would use all 9 sets of tires tonight. Well, this is proof of that. I mean, heck, we only pitted, not that many laps ago, maybe 10, 15 laps ago, and here we come down pit road again.
And we'll see how many people take 2 tires. We've seen that work already for the leader before. 2-tire Michael P. Frisch, he's the first to try it. Blake McCandless also trying it. Matthew Zwack back on 2 tires again, but it's still going to be Michael P. Frisch who wins the race off pit road. Chris Junkie comes out 4th with Gray in the top 5, all on 2. Same for McAdams.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the 2-tire calls here. I mean, you've only ran a few laps on those tires, so why not try the 2 tires call here, pardon me. But a couple cars stuck on pit road. Be right, it's going to be Frisch, Zwack, McCandless, and others on back. Now the problem, we'll have to see again, there may not be as many, but those could be those lap down cars to the inside. And right now, honestly, JP, if you're back in the field, maybe 3rd on back, you're probably frustrated. You're, man, we just cleared those lap cars from that last restart, and now we got to do it again.
So the caution does put one of the fan favorites, it seems, tonight, Carson Hocevar, back in the lead lap, by the way. He just had some lengthy repairs, so he's been dealing with some sort of issue with the car. We know he's had issues with the brake pedal all throughout the night. So some of these drivers now in the conversation, 25-ish, are going to be on the lead lap with a chance with less than 30 laps to go. And he's still at the factory, and lap cars are going to be fighting hard for that lead lap here. It's going to get interesting, to say the very least, on how you play this. We know Michael P. Frisch has this race right where he wants it to be.
Well, and I think you have to play it aggressive, JP, because as we said, we know how long this race is, and I don't mean that sarcastically or snarky. It's 160 laps. There's no green white checkers. There's no overtime in 87 NASCAR. It is what it is. And so as every caution happens, we're ticking laps off the board that you cannot drive under green and make a pass. So every time we go green here, you have to make a move. You have to be aggressive. You have to be whatever it takes to find your way ahead. But again, here's the challenge is going to be, as you see the iRacing special pace truck here, the virtual pace truck. The problem is going to be that inside lane. Remember how difficult it was the first time? Now the good news is, at least from that view, JP, that inside lane is a lot shorter than it was the first time.
And apparently, we just got more information because the field's been wondering, Carson, how are you on the lead lap? Have you ever used the clutch as a brake pedal before, Derek? Because that's what Carson Hosbar is. That's the apparently why he's been able to enter the pit lane in the first place.
Yeah, that sounds awful. I mean, wow. Yeah, I mean, when I say awful, I'll be clear that if it works, it works. I mean, awful. Like the clutch is not a brake. It's a yes/no system, right? It's a. I can't think of the money that I want, but the word I want, pardon me, but it's a yes/no system. There's no pressure points. It's not 0%, 10%, 20%. It's in or out. That's got to be some very awful braking in the telemetry for Carson Hocevar.
It's going to get wild for this finish. 26 to go at the stripe. It's Frisch, Swack, McCandless, Junkie, Gray, McAdams, Butler, Hop, Rush, Schwartz in the top 10. 25 cars are now in the lead lap. The first driver battling for the lap back off the restart is 1 lap down, Cale Spicer. There goes the pace truck. Off and away, green, green, green. Michael P. Frisch with a massive launch. Everyone else trying to get fired up and trying to catch up to that one machine as quick as they can. Trying to clear by the 4 fast.
I think this is great news, by the way, for Matthew Swack and for Blake McCandless. The fact that Frisch got down there so fast and left that open air for those cars, that means right there that maybe these guys have a better chance of racing and getting around it the first time. There's a little bit of gap in that bottom lane. It's not locked up, or at least it wasn't before this camera shot moved into the end car, JP. So there's maybe some chances here to race, maybe some better odds than there were last time.
See how aggressive they get here for this race lead. Swack nearly snapped it around. Getting loose in the tri-oval now. That's how slippery some of these tires are on the cold stuff right now.
That may have also been a bit of a bump from Blake McCandless. I don't think that was completely on Zwack. I think the pushing is getting more aggressive. The bump will get a little bit more aggressive. The drivers will get more aggressive here with 25 to go at Daytona.
Some 3 wide starting to form up in the pack. That is Butler going up the middle with lap cars inside and drivers like Gray in the conversation outside. Also jumping the way through Caden Rush on the inside, getting himself boxed in. McCandless stays up there.
This looks like it just has that recipe for disaster, right? A little bit of 3 wide, a little bit of Daytona, a little bit of bumps, a little bit of aggression. Only a few laps. You mix all that together, and it's possible you're bringing the big one to a boil in the pots here at Daytona.
Yeah. Take a look on board. This is McCandless. McCandless trying to clear his way through. Trying to find a way to get a run. Built up Swack is struggling at the moment off the corners. Rush is still the highest of those on 4 tires in this pack with a caution. Front straight away.
Big wreck in the back.
Wow. Pure chaos. Hayden Swank picks up an EOL from the crashes. At least 3-4 cars scattered. Jackson, Van Valkenburg, Amonso's involved. And we're under yellow once again.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Wait to see that happen here. And again, all it's doing for these drivers is killing opportunities for passes to happen. So Michael P. Frisch may be stoked, but boy, if you're Zwack, if you're McCandless, and others, this is heartbreaking, man. It is difficult. This is difficult. So we'll wait and see what happens when a RaceSpot replay machine loads up and finds the replay of what happened. But this looks like a big wreck, everyone coming together.
So here's a look. Oh, that was loose off of 4. Looked like some contact.
A 34 and a 10, I believe, got together. That's who I saw there. So the 10 of Wyatt Gray and the 34 of Mitch Hugh. A driver you noted had been up in the front most of the night, got together, and then you see the aftermath there of just different cars spun around, and contact and what have you. So here we come around. Frisch catches the pace truck. Now, I suspect this time is different, JP. Last time by about, what, 5, 6, 7 laps ago, everyone pitted. I don't think that will be the case this time by.
And pretty clear Michael Fritsch staying out, but he's trying to burn fuel, try and make the car lighter. Now, that can work. And it looks like...
I'm going to blow the motor.
Yeah, that's the other part. Don't pop it.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Worth is pitting. He's made that well known on the radio.
I'm pretty sure he pits every caution. I think that's his thing.
No, that could be. Let's wait and see anyone coming around.
And yes, the answer is for some, they will peel down those laps down. Oh, the 38. Junkie just gave up the track position after having the highest running spot all race. Others like Hocevar and Moore coming down for any sort of advantage. There were 9 tire sets, including those in the car coming into tonight. They have a lot of tires available. A lot of Goodyear Eagles to be able to use to build houses, to be able to stack into their cars. And those remaining, well, they can be all stacked up and used for whatever you want.
Yeah, right. Used for whatever. So let's watch again. This is the wreck that brought out this most recent yellow. And we'll wait to see where the caution is going to happen up front here. There's a car. Oh, boy. Wow. Well, no one had a blowover there. You know, you and I had a conversation previous. Will we see a blowover in these 87 NASCAR vehicles? Well, remember, we set the goal. We wondered halfway if we'd see our first blowover. We didn't see our first wreck until after halfway. And I dare say we saw a car get up in the air there, but not really a blowover. I think we're still safe with 21 to go.
Yeah, coming to 20 laps to go. Well, so let's take a look one more time. Wyatt Gray, lots of bumps, and he gets your first half blowover.
Yeah, that was close, wasn't it?
Oh, somebody definitely did a flip into the catch fence, so.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find it a different way. But yeah, maybe there was one there, so I don't know. Maybe that's just the counter. 20-something laps to go will be where it occurred. I don't know, but well, if you're Zwack, if you're McCandless, I thought you had the run last time, JP. I thought when first moved down to kind of control the bottom lane, I thought you had every opportunity to do it. And boy, McCandless was trying. A little bit of beat, a little bit of bang, a couple bumps, a couple of dings on the back of that car. Just couldn't make it happen yet.
Yeah, AJ Green.
Gonna be. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. That's it. Call it. 25 car blowover, about the lap 25 to go.
I think that's more of a ramp into the sky than it was a blowover.
Hope he wasn't BR for that.
Oh, and we have some good news for those on the East Coast. Happy 4th of July. It is officially July the 4th.
There you go. Happy Independence Day, everybody. And whether you celebrate on the East Coast or whatever coast you're in, maybe for myself on the West Coast, we got a couple hours left. But please stay safe this 4th of July weekend. A lot of people love to set up fireworks, do cookouts. You need, well, I was trying to say you need all 10 fingers for iRacing. That may not be true, but we'd love to see you back healthy, safe, and in one piece after the holiday weekend. So please stay safe and have fun celebrating in whatever way you do, whether it's going outside, whether it's just setting off fireworks, cookout, it's time of family. Remember, you can race this race tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern on iRacing. So many ways to celebrate the 4th of July weekend.
It'll be a 19-lap dash to the end here to decide things if we stay green. Right now, 22 cars are on the lead lap. It's pretty clear some of the drivers are already indicating on the radio they are ready to put the elbows out to get their laps back. So we'll see how they are going to race up here. Michael P. Frisch in the lead, Zwack in second, McCandless, Rush, Butler, Hopp, McAdams, Swartz, Dowling, followed by Lumendick in the top 10. It's going to be an interesting restart once again in this one as we get ready for the sprint to the end in the Firecracker 400. Happy Happus with us tonight. Just Prince Watson, Derek Watson here on Race Spot. Throughout the evening, we've had Green flag runs until the final 35 laps or so here. And the green flag waves this time. We're back underway. Tire spin for the leader. David Brown got the better launch, in fact, as the lapper.
Like, that's the second time Brown's benefited from a tire spin. Isn't that like the last, what, 20, 30 laps? It's the second time the leader has spun the tires. I feel like both times a 9 has been down there, per my memory, to try and benefit from it, see if he can make that run happen. But look up top. These drivers are moving around. They're maybe not as patient as we were 100 laps ago. Already some movement. People trying lanes. That third lane's open in the middle, and Sean Butler, I thought, was going to make it happen right in front of Jaden Hopp. But Butler backed out of it. Now there's 3 lanes. McCandless stuck up top. There's a car going through the middle.
Caden rushes that car. He dives inside, goes for second. No place to go except right behind the Nexus machine. He pushes the 83, rather should say in sim. That would be the 9. David Brown trying to push himself forward to unlap himself by a lap. He will. He is clear. Does he take the outside? Yes, he will.
Well, this will be interesting because now you want. Oh, hold on, wreck in the back. There's a caution again.
Caution flag is out once again. And they are flipping over down the back straight away. Visconti's upside down. Spin for Ted Lowendick, who is running in 10th. The Solpeck Precision Racing car is demolished.
Yeah, that's too bad for Ted. I thought maybe that was going to be a good run out of Ted, and I was so excited because, Ted, as you know, has a tradition when he wins races that are broadcast. He does what we call a shoey, where he drinks champagne out of his racing shoe, and I thought, boy, we're getting close to a Firecracker shoey. And maybe it's not over yet. We'll see how bad that car is damaged for Ted. Watch the replay. Ted's up top. Disc gets hooked from the bottom, goes around, up in the air. But hey, goodness for Ted, that car might... Oh, never mind. Nope. Bad call. Started to say it might be okay. And then that Wrangler car came on through and finished off the job.
Another hit and air crash. And another caution flag to stack things up. So all of a sudden we go from green flag racing to what has been 3-4 cautions in this final stretch. Don't look now, but Hocevar's in 11th, by the way, as here's Visconti's view.
Let's watch this race, this wreck view here. Kind of confusing. Like, I thought he was clear, had he just stayed towards the top of the track, but he went down, obviously thinking he needed to get down there to avoid something, and this sort of doored Ted Lowendick.
Oh,
right,
look at this.
Hold on. There's Michael Frisch down pit road. Did not have this on the bingo card. Wow, that's going to give the lead to Zwack. Whoa, with 17 to go? Boy, oh boy.
Zwack holds on in front, but an interesting choice.
Frisch just said to the right that they were commenting in iRacing the same as we are, confused, and Frisch just said, it's all part of the plan, boys. So he thinks he knows something we don't know.
Can he drive on fresh tires? 12 lap difference, mind you, in 14, 15 laps. In the words of some in the sim, miracles can happen. We'll have to see if that works out. He's off and away. Everyone else came down for damage repair, it looks like.
Yeah.
So, Zwack is now going to be in control here. And this is where he'll have some fun here.
Let's do this real quick. I know we're quickly getting ready for some racing, but I want to do this real quick. Let's welcome in to the to the RaceSpot iRacing broadcast booth. Ted Lowendick. I was trying to bring Ted Lowendick. Let's see if we can get him in here. I'd love to hear from Ted and see if we can get him in and hear his perspective of what happened in that race. Ted Lowendick, welcome into the broadcast booth. I thought you had that wreck cleared.
Yeah, someone arc-a-braked there at the end. But hey, this has been fun.
Is this more challenging than you thought it was going to be?
Yes. 120 laps, the wrists were hurting there, so. Kind of happy we had a caution there to get the break that we did. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it.
All right, well, I was hoping we were going to get a shoey when all was said and done. That feels less likely now, but good luck the rest of the race.
Hey, you never know. We got 15 laps left. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Ted, good luck, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Ted Lowendick jumps back into the race car. Looks like he will try and keep it going. And coming up to 14 laps to go here. And now it's a matter of seeing how bold some of these drivers are willing to get. What do you do?
You have to push, right? I mean, we're 15 laps to go, 14 at the line, only a couple of yellows before we just call it a night. So, I mean, look at the names up in the top 10. Zwack is leading. Caden Rush is up in second. McCandless in third. Butler's in fourth. Hopp is in fifth. McAdams, Schwartz, Drayling, Parker, Carson Hocevar up in 10th. That guy was a lap down at one point, fighting for it. Remember, has no brakes, using the clutch pedal. This is going to get aggressive. This is going to be more aggressive than like a WWE tag team wrestling match with no holds barred. I think this is going to be really aggressive. I hope it's clean and aggressive, JP, but you're going to see some pushes. You're going to see some lane changes. You're going to see some three-wide racing. And I suspect we're all going to be surprised when this is over who wins and how they win.
And now we get geared up for the restart. Wild stretch to the end here to see who wins the Firecracker 400, a stacked field. Remember the SOF tonight, 5,630. And we've seen why with how we've raced up front. iRacing pace car ready to drop off. The pace truck should say. Zwack in control. First lapper to the inside this time is Charles Wembley. Green flag is out. Backing away. Rush all over the rear end of Zwack. Now takes an immediate poke for the race lead. 3 wide for the point.
Let's see who goes where and who follows which of those two lead lap cars. Who follows Rush, who follows Zwack. Rush gets to the bottom in front of the lap cars. He'll get a push. Now Zwack is getting left hung out to dry. He's getting left up top as now there's a car here that we're on board with. It's behind Rush, and that I believe to be Sean Butler.
It is Sean Butler up to second again. Blake McCandless, triple car tandem, and look who's back in it too. McAdams in the 20 after having those issues on the front nose, fixed the repairs on that car, has now joined in. McCandless bounces off the wall. McAdams able to drive to the inside to avoid him, all while Butler tries to go to the inside. This is for second.
Yeah, this is your leader right here, Caden Rush in that white car on your screen. And you got Butler in the bottom, the black and yellow. You got Zwack up top in that blue primary car. Behind us, we got Kevin McAdams. You got Jaden Hopp up in the top 5. So this is still going on minutes by minute. It feels like it's changing. Look at that big run from the top lane as Rush tries to go up there and block it. Now they're going to try to be 3 wide on the bottom.
Drowling tries to join in. Carson Hocevar doing the same. Butler knowing the draft off of. He squeezes Zwack into the wall. And here comes the crash. McAdams goes around. He nearly flips over. Caution flag is out. Wow. 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 Oh, we're still big wrecking.
Yeah, we are, right. Kosar says that wreck is on him. It's not what I felt like I saw from the first view in the broadcast. We'll wait and see what the replay says, but Hosvar says he had to get checked up a little bit. He thinks he caused this wreck, so we'll wait and see if the replay proves that or what may happen here. But we're under caution now, 12 to go at Daytona.
Cautions breed cautions yet again.
Yep.
And he did have apology over the radio, as you said, with Hocevar, where he instinctively, instead of hitting that clutch pedal that's near his brake pedal, hit the brake pedal. Let's take a look.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. He got in the back of Hop. From our camera shot, we had it live. Oh, there's the 20 of there's the 26. But anyways, that's McAdams, I believe. But boy, from the camera shot we had, that's the 20. Sorry. I thought maybe Hop had just gotten loose and went around, but we just could not see Hocevar in that back view. The good news for Hocevar, he's okay. Good news for Hop, he seems to be okay. So there's definitely some cars in the back of the field that need to pit that will have to get a lot of repairs done. But wow.
And now it gets wild. And we might see single file restart without the inside line here, which could open things up.
Yeah, we're less than 10 to go. I was thinking that was the process, and I was waiting to confirm it in the rules, but you're right. We should be single file here. No cars inside with 10 to go. We'll wait and see if that's how race control lines them up here.
Now, to give people credit, and some of the drivers are piping in on this too, where they're saying there are people getting tight in the first place there, Derek. That was a tight situation, 50-50 either way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Hocevar's fault for getting in the back of Hop. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you know, not the worst wreck we've seen all night probably, right? I mean, just, you know, Hocevar says he just forgot which pedal was the brake. And, you know, probably could have lifted, probably could have checked up. Watch this here. Different parts of the wreck. Boy, oh, boy.
And Swank.
Oh, there's your blower.
Yeah, there's your rollover. That car's decimated. And now, I will say the field is, well, not having a fun time right now, is all we'll say on the radio.
There's some words.
Let's not talk about the words. Let's talk about the strategy. How do you approach this race, Wood?
Well, right now, if it is single file, which it appears to be, well, let's watch this again from the 22. This is, I guess, if you're going to call it the blowover of the race. This is Hayden Swank. I mean, that's at least one, I think two, maybe three full turns here. You'll see it here in that striped number 22 machine. Bounces off the ground, almost at the floor, and goes around again and again and again. So to answer your question, what would I do here? If I'm not Caden Rush, if I'm Sean Butler, if I'm Blake McCandless, I'm stoked that I have friends next to me. I jump to the inside as soon as I can, and I try and leave Caden Rush out to dry, and I make that pass. Yes, the top has been more powerful tonight with the draft, but if I can get a jump on this start, if I'm Butler, McCandless, even Zwack, and I can move down, that's what you have to do. If I'm Caden Rush, I anticipate that, and I move down as soon as I can and hope that I make the right call. Unfortunately, the super speedway, the leader's often a sitting duck, and I think that's the best analogy right here. Now, right now, many names still in the top 10. Hocevar's back in P5. What a story that would be if he could come back and win this after being a lap down. Jaden Hopp is back there, Wesley Parker, John Schwartz, Jordan Wirtz is back in 9th. So lots of big names. This is going to be a heartbreak for a lot of drivers because only one person can win in about 9.5 laps from now.
A wild stretch to the finish. Once again, reset your top 10. It looks like this: Caden Rush, Sean Butler, Blake McCandless, Matthew Zwack, and Carson Hocevar, Jaden Hopp and Wesley Parker, John Schwartz, Jordan Wirth, Chris Junkie are your top 10. Others of note: Michael P. Frisch is in 12th, Timothy Moore in 13th. David Brown, by the way, unlapped himself with all those edges at the stripe, Derek. He's got a chance for a lead lap finish in 15th, 16th spot.
He got a better chance than that. I mean, who knows what still happens in this race? He could be top 10, top 5. Who knows where he finishes here? So, boy, the person I don't want to be right now, unfortunately, JP, is Caden Rush. You're leading the race. That sounds awesome. You think you want to be the leader, but you are just the person in the worst spot on this restart, no matter what you do, I think.
9 laps to decide, and remember, no GWC to think about. Let's try and see how this field handles it. Green flag, back and away. Great restart. Rush, terrible start for everyone else. We have cars scattered over. McCandless amongst them. We're under yellow.
Well, this will bring up what I believe to, well, maybe not. Yeah, this should be the last restart of the night, I think. And once you get it lined back up, I doubt we get a chance to caution it out and do it again. But that, watch it, right here. Watch behind Rush. I thought Rush was in the worst spot. So it's going to move down. McCandless gets a bad bump from Zwack. And both McCandless and Butler go around, and then Butler got crushed by somebody. Butler's done. I would think Butler's done.
Sean Butler missed a shift in that situation.
Oh, no.
He just said on the radio.
Well, that's what happened. I thought it was going to be from the bad bump from Zwack, but apparently no. Butler missed a shift and just got in the way and caused that whole checkup. I'm not sure who hit Butler at the end in the grass, but that likely is going to end Butler's chances of winning this Firecracker 400. It's going to be Wyatt Gray. Let's watch this on board. See what's going to happen here. Yep, there it is. And he had nowhere to go. He didn't know where to go. He couldn't see anything. Just a calamity of cars, and unfortunately, he made contact.
You know who's in second with that restart, by the way?
You know what? We've been working together so long now as a broadcast team that I was just about to say to you, JP, look who's in second place. It's Carson Hocevar, up 24 spots on the night. And depending upon how fast we get this thing worked around, depending on how fast we get this caution completed, this may be it, right? This may be your only shot. It may be, we may possibly get one more caution if we need it. I hope we don't. I hate saying it that way because I hate planning for those, but boy, oh boy. Butler's out of the way. McCandless is out of the way. It's Rush, Hocevar, Zwack, Hop, and Parker, your top five.
This has just been outright calamity. We've had a wreck on pit road, apparently. Someone apparently just stopped at the pit entry, according to the radio communication, and we just had a crash. Robert MD Jersey, just amongst those turnaround after Rusty Plan slammed in the back end of Kevin McAdams and stacked everybody up.
Wow, watching here on pit road, and yeah, you know, JP, we're commentators because we're supposed to have words for everything. We're supposed to be verbose and animated and over the top at times. And there's times when I don't have words, and that's gonna be one of them. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what happened there. Sometimes I can explain to you why I think something happened. I don't know.
Meanwhile, some people are begging the pace car driver for a lap back. No, rather, that's Caden Rush just having fun with the pace car.
That's Caden Rush hoping the pace car stays out for another 7 laps. He's begging him to say, hey, what if I block you from making that left-hand turn? What if you just stay out here? So, we'll see.
So, 5 laps to decide it here. First time Hocevar has been up front this entire race. What are you expecting in terms of how Hocevar can do this? We've seen the inside play for the runs. What is he going to do to try and take this lead? This is going to get wild.
He has to do what Butler did. That's the answer, right? Well, he has to do what Butler did, but do it correctly. He has to get down there, make that jump, hit the gears, and go. Because Rush was not expecting it. Rush did not block that run. Rush was going to stay up top. So now Hocevar has to hope that Zwack, maybe Hop, Parker, or one of those drivers will go with him and push that bottom lane till he's clear. That's the answer here. So, boy, this is going to get exciting. I'm happy you're here along with us. Justin, I know you're happy the crowd's along with us. This is going to be a race and an ending that is going to be exciting.
And remember, Hocevar's on fresher tires than Caden Rush. The freshest tires are 11th on back. Well, it's not Blake McCandless, who had just had damage repair, but he's 15th.
Yep.
So, To reset your top 10 for this restart for the Firecracker 400, it's Caden Rush, it's Carson Hocevar, Matthews Wack, Jaden Hopp, Wesley Parker, John Schwartz, Jordan Worth, Chris Junkie, Drew Jaa is up there without front clip, I believe, in 9th. He has found front clip by correction. Michael Frisch is in 10th.
Well, and thank everyone for hanging out in the Twitch chat, the YouTube chat, wherever you are. I hope right now you're taking a second and throwing in whatever car numbers you want to win into the chat, showing your pride for your favorite drivers and cheering them on. This is it. This is likely it. We're going to go green at 5 to go, JP. There's no way I see us going green again at the yellow flag this race. It is right now, I believe, the next flag ends this race.
Well, it depends on the timing of the flag, but this is going to be a show. They're already backing up far for the restart, away from the pace truck.
And they're backing up far away from the leader, too. Look at that.
Got to close up here.
The leader needs to back up.
Is Hocevar going to try and jump this? No. Caden Rush launches. He is gone. 5, 6, 7 car lanes up front. Some side-by-side already. Wesley Parker at the flag stand.
Wow, that leader's too far out, though. This, I said sitting duck. That's what we're going to find here. Zwack, Hocevar, Hop likely, maybe even Parker are going to catch him and catch him fast. That draft still matters. In these 87 cars, JP, this may have been too big of a jump for your race leader.
Yeah, Caden Rush already trying to block the draft. Swoops inside, swoops outside. Here comes Hocevar. Hocevar to the inside. He zooms his way to the point from pit road to the lead with less than 5 laps to go.
Lap down, 25 laps ago to the lead is Carson Hocevar. Here we come around again. Now the battle begins. Now Zwack wants around Hocevar. Now Rush wants back around. Hop wants around. This is not even close to being over. No!
Hocevar blocking both lines like he's the Pied Piper. 3 wide for second. 1 car up on the wall and Hop. Oh, wow. Wesley Parker, the super speedway ace, trying to make some moves. Hocevar has 3 lanes to block as Jordan Worth tries to push the middle.
This is going to be wild. I don't know if we're going to make it back around all the way every time, but this is going to be an exciting move. Now we get 2 lanes. You got Zwack on the bottom trying to make it work. You got Rush up top behind Hocevar. You got a bump from Parker, who's now fallen off. Oh, boy.
3 laps to go in the Firecracker 400. Pointing no return, that time by likely. Caden Rush swooping inside, outside. All while Hocevar moves up, some contact behind. Frisch, a bit of a squeeze for the 16 of Jaa. The 16 holds on to it. All while they make the way down the straightaway. Hocevar trying to block the lines.
That top lane finally working. Oh, he wiggled Hocevar. Yeah, that's what he did. That was Caden Rush. He got Hocevar loose. Now they're making contact. Now they're bumping. Now Jordan Worth wants in this battle. Michael Frisch, remember he said it's all in the plan, boys, about 15 laps ago? Well, here he is, P4, and maybe it was all in his plan all along.
2 laps to go. The race comes down to this. Jordan Worth taking a poke. No place to go. Hocevar blocks off the inside again. Hocevar started this race with pedal issues right from the jump. Since then, he's been trying to scratch and claw his way to the conversation. Got in the lead lap with less than 50 laps to go. And now has a chance to win it. He blocks to the inside again. Worth trying to clear for second as they bump for second.
Worth on the outside. You got Rush on the inside. Rush getting the draft from Hocevar. Hocevar will move likely back. No, he doesn't move up as fast as I thought he would. Now he does. He's trying to control both lines. 2 to go here. Coming around. Here we go, JP. It's getting close. What happens here at Daytona? 1 to go.
Side by side for the race lead. Rush is on the inside. Hocevar on the outside. Hocevar's got the pedal down. He clears for the back straightaway. Rush trying to set up the run.
Rush gets on by. He's going to try to pull every ounce of draft he can. Then he'll pull out when he thinks the time is right. Rush will not push Hocevar to win without trying. He might help him win, but he's going to try everything he can, including a bump right there in the bottom of the corner. Hocevar gets a little loose. Rush still on top of him, JP.
Will Rush get a chance to get a boost? The answer is no. Carson Hocevar, through all the adversity, holds on to win the Firecracker 400.
Wow, they're wrecking behind after the line.
Hocevar first, Rush and Worth on the top three. And what a finish, and what a drive for Carson Hocevar, the NASCAR Cup Series driver, goes through the field to win it.
What an amazing show by Hocevar. I thought 3 or 4 times that Rush had him. I thought maybe Worth had him, but he held on. He controlled the lines, and he has won this iRacing special event.
And congratulations coming over the radio as Jordan Worth gives him the door, and one car gives him the bumper. That wasn't nice. That was accidental, but it wasn't nice. As Hocevar's going to go for a slide in the grass.
Yeah, going to go and do his burnout and celebrate here. This virtual iRacing special event NASCAR win. And through the grass, I expect he's going to go right through the Daytona logo and upset the groundskeepers.
So Carson Hocevar gets the win. Jordan Worth is also doing burnouts. This is a win for him.
Sure.
A lot of people trying to celebrate, but Hocevar getting the most out of this set celebrations here. Incredible drive tonight. He led just 5 laps tonight. It's Hocevar, Rush and Worth who finish on the podium here in the Firecracker 400. Michael Frisch drives his fresh tires to 4th to the end. Zwack in 5th. Junkie gets to 6th. Then John in 7th, followed by McCandless. Robert M.D. Jersey, the pole sitter, in 9th. Matt Cluse, your top 10 here, Derek.
Moving back into P11, we'll find Ted Lowendick, we talked a little bit ago. Brad Newman's up in P12. And then Mitch Hughes and Wyatt Gray 13th and 14th, with Timothy Moore back in P15. John Schwartz, Sean Butler, Kevin McAdams, Wesley Parker, and Jaden Hopp round out your top 20.
21st went to Maximilian Bianco, last of the lead lap. Rusty Plant 22nd, David Brown 23rd, McGowan, then Fleckenstein 25th, Wembley, Malivo, Spicer, Drowling, and Swank, the top 30.
Moving back into P30, first Christian Visconti, 14 laps down. These are all cars who maybe did not finish the race at this point. Jeremy Lusaka, Thomas Reed, Jackson Van Volkenberg, AJ Green, Greg John, Mickey Tuttle, Mitch Drunowski, Tracy Petter, and Benjamin Forrester rounded out your top 40. And then JP, the last couple of cars, John Babineau and Hunter Johnston rounded out a 42-car field.
That's all we talked about him at the running order here tonight in the Firecracker 400. A thriller here at Daytona. Your thoughts on this one, Derek, as we see how things closed out. There was a bump and run attempt there, but Hocevar held on.
Listen, this was great. I mean, this was a wild race. Everything you want at Daytona. You had some green flag runs, a couple of big wrecks. You had a surprise ending. You had someone come from behind and win. This is why we love Daytona. No matter the car, no matter the series, it always produces exciting finishes.
Indeed it does. And in the end, Carson Hocevar is the one able to power his way to the very end. It took a lot of precision to get there, but he's able to hold on and withstand all the bumping. There was a lot of bumping and banging for that third spot too.
A lot of beating and banging for that third spot. A lot of beating and banging for every spot. I mean, as you watch this last lap go by again, I just thought for sure that Hocevar was going to get loose going up that corner and that Rush was going to go on by, but he couldn't do it. And there was a drag race there between 18 and 1 Worth and Frisch at the line. Boy, this was just a great night.
Great night racing, great special event here at the Firecracker 400, and it shows why fans love this type of racing. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in for what was a thriller here. Remember, the next special event on the schedule is going to be Spa. It's a Spa day. The 24 hours of Spa, the Real World 24 hours just concluding recently, but our 24 hours here on iRacing going to be taking place this month. The Brickyard 400 is also this month. Remember, you can take part in these special events all the time, whenever they come up on the calendar, be sure to register during the week to be able to take part. But on that note, it's time to wave goodbye. For everyone here on Race Spot, for Derek Watson, for Hugo Weeds, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations to Carson Hocevar, your winner of the Firecracker 400.